Welcome back, True Seeker. Want to talk about the anniversary of Columbine passing yesterday, April 20th. This broadcast is Sunday, April 21st. But I want to talk about the anniversary of Columbine. We're going to have Daria join us in this show. She has a lot to share, and it's my fault. Her and I were supposed to do this broadcast yesterday. And like I said, I got amnesia. So sorry to Daria, but she's going to join us today. She's got some things she wants to share about Columbine and what she remembers from that time. Again, for anyone who's around my age, I was in high school when Columbine happened, and it was one of these events that they brought into the school classroom. We had to watch the O.J. Simpson trial in court, for example, and Columbine was another thing that we had to have a school assembly over. We're going to start a new policy of wearing name badges at school after Columbine. And anyhow, there was something very symbolic yesterday in the NBA. The Denver Nuggets were hosting a big game with the Lakers, and it was the anniversary of Columbine, which happened in 1999. You know, the year Prince sang about. Gonna party like it's 1999. But yesterday, on that anniversary of the 99 shooting, the Nuggets picked up their 99th franchise playoff win. And remember last year, they won the series 4-1 on the anniversary of number 41's birthday. George Herbert Walker Bush and Jokic is the 41st pick of the draft. This year, we loved it 41 days after his birthday for him to nail the triple-double, and sure enough, he did. He gets a lot of them, but only so often. But, of course, 41 days after his birthday. Anyhow, what we document year after year, showing how the games are scripted, often calling, if not dead on, very close to dead on, how the outcomes of things will be achieved. We knew that was just like impossible for the Nuggets yesterday not to get that 99th win on the anniversary. Again, you pay attention to this, you start to see how the major events, the things that they want us to know about in our mind, which are things like pro sports, they want us to know about a Columbine shooting. A lot of the stuff that really gets pushed through the media, you'll see how these things intertwine over and over if you pay attention to sports records, numbers, the anniversary of dates. Understanding this, again, something I wrote about in my first book that came out in 2017, Letters and Numbers. I wrote about a number pattern with 420. And yesterday, Ryan Garcia in boxing had a major upset of Devin Haney. And we'd been looking at this in the days leading up to the fight. I haven't done a lesson in a long time on fighting, but I gave the same lesson I used to give years ago, how to decode a fight. And what stood out right away is that this fight was on 420. Okay. So here's what I wrote about in my book. If you write out his words 420 in gematria, it equates to 88. And if you write out marijuana, it equates to 88. And California equates to 88. And the whole 420 thing with marijuana comes from California. This is the story. Remember when marijuana was legalized on the ballot in California for the dispensaries, they opened the dispensaries 420 days later. Remember that? That was the big 420 ritual in Cali. So we said, look at this with the 420-88. We said, the man who's the major underdog, who's also the conspiracy theorist, Ryan Garcia, his birthday is 8-8. Okay? And here, if you're new here, gematria, it's very simple. It's based on the alphabetic order forwards and backwards. I just said marijuana is 88, which is true. Notice how in reverse, marijuana is 155. This fight was 155 days from Devin Haney's birthday, okay? So Ryan Garcia, the underdog, has an 8-8 birthday. And again, 155 days from Devin Haney's birthday. So the proper word for marijuana is cannabis, okay? You see how cannabis has the gematria of 54? If you're new here, go back and look at the stock market on the Ides of March 15/3. Cannabis stocks were crazy high on 15/3. We saw that if Ryan Garcia won, he would be 25-1, like 251, which is the 54th prime. This is just like how LeBron passed Kobe in points scored all time with the 54th points of the game on the 25th day of the first month, the day before Kobe died. And don't forget that LeBron passed Kobe in his hometown. 251, 54th prime, Kobe Bean Bryant, 54, dead the Sunday before Super Bowl 54. If you're new here, my last book, Letters and Numbers, talks about Kobe's death in a huge way. There's an 80-page chapter on what they did with Kobe's death and the pandemic and his burial in Corona del Mar. And Anyway, we saw that he could become 25-1, and it wasn't just the cannabis thing. It was that his opponent's name, Devin, is also 54. So he'd do it against Devin Haney. The power of this knowledge. It's always been this way. And just like I explained, like if you can catch on to the theme of a day, the historical symbolism of a day, you'll see how they structure fights that pay tribute to that history. They do this in the UFC, they do it in boxing. And that's what's funny. If you watch my video on Friday when I was breaking down this fight, the whole time I was breaking it down, I was talking about him like he was a UFC fighter, but it doesn't matter. It's the same decoding method for UFC and pro boxing. And again, on a full slate of UFCs, there might be 2 or 3 narratives that really stand out a ton because of the way the numbers line up. And on this one, we saw the cannabis marijuana joke and the major value. Ryan Garcia paid nearly 5-1 to upset last night. You had to put your mortgage down to even get a payout on Devin Haney, who was supposed to win the fight. But here's the other joke. Here's the other joke with Ryan Garcia and his 88th birthday. You remember Mel Gibson has the movie Conspiracy Theory? I have an old post on this. You can go back and see my old post from like so many years ago. But conspiracy theory equals 88, right? And that movie came out in history on August 8th, 88, which is also Ryan Garcia's birthday. And conspiracy theory is also 218 in the base ciphers. That movie came out 218 days from Mel Gibson's birthday. Again, if you're new here, these ciphers are simple. It's just the alphabetic order forwards and backwards with numerology. It's elementary math. It's knowing the alphabetic order and applying basic addition in all regards. But you'll see how these ciphers are used together over and over when you pay attention to the scripts. Again, I was just saying how Columbine High School, the target of the 99 shooting that, changed a lot of security policies and brought new levels of fear. Columbine High School, 99. Yesterday, the anniversary. Nuggets get the 99th win all time in their franchise for the playoffs on that anniversary. And then what's gross is, again, Colorado's the 38th state, right? It's not gross that Colorado equals 38 and it's the 38th state. Again, there's so many 38 Colorado rituals, it's ridiculous. Go back to earlier this year when I said, okay, tomorrow's the 38th day of the year. Next Tuesday is going to be 38 weeks from the election. I bet the Supreme Court out of nowhere is going to come up with like they're ready to get Trump back on the ballot in Colorado. And then boom, the very next day was the 38th day of the year. Exactly when it happened, when the headline first broke that they're going to revisit the Trump Colorado thing. And then you see how Colorado is also 43. The Supreme Court took him off the ballot with a 4-3 decision. And then he was reinstated on the 4th day of the 3rd month, March 4th, the old inauguration day. But anyway, 38th state is Colorado. It equals 38. Jokic got his 38th win in the playoffs yesterday as well. And the thing about 38 is it's highly connected to death. Death is 38, murder's 38, killing's 38, RIP's 38, Pentagon's 38. The Pentagon on the 38th parallel in DC. So anyhow, you got, on one hand, you have, again, the 420 marijuana ritual, major upset in boxing, paying tribute to the conspiracy theorists. And too, and just think about this from a psychological point of view, right? The average guy who's into fights in the US, the typical American, right? Imagine a pack of 10,000 American, and there's way more than that. I mean, just picture all of the American men in the world that were watching this fight last night. The average American male does not like conspiracy theory, right? And they kind of associate that with like a nerdiness, a geeky thing, a weak thing, a squirrely guy who lives in his mom's basement, right? So this conspiracy thing is coming attached to Ryan Garcia too, right? And again, conspiracy theories, 88, the guy at the 88th birthday. Hold up. I want to see how many. I forget how old this guy is, but I want to see from when the movie came out with Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson conspiracy theory release date. It was in the 90s. I want to say like it was around 96. It was 97. August 8th, 97, in the times of Bill Clinton. 4 years, a month, and 3 days before 9/11. Let's see. Ryan Garcia. How old is he, real quick? Okay. He so this movie came out 1 year before he was born. He's born the very next year, and then all these years later, as a big-time fighter before the biggest win of his career, he gets all this attention with, the Bohemian Grove and the earthquake predictions. Um, Again, I'm just saying, like, my point, what I've been showing for years is how they choose certain people to do certain things because they have the right numbers. They're into this Kabbalist thing of letters and numbers. They're looking at the world through their Kabbalist lens. They're like, okay, he's perfect for the conspiracy theory. What if he ends up being dead on about the earthquake? He said there's going to be a mega quake on June 6th. We talked about that day, how that's the big USGS number. Anyway, okay, so we talked about Ryan Garcia. We just talked a little bit about the Nuggets. We're going to get Dari on here in a minute. Real quick, though, I just want to say about today's game with the Celtics beating the Heat 114-94. I want to go back to what we were talking about in 2019. John Havlicek. John Havlicek, big star for the Celtics, wore number 17. The Celtics are on 17 championships. NBA equals 17. Remember what they did with LeBron? He got the Lakers their 17th championship in his 17th season after coming over from Ohio. The 17th stayed on 1/7, the first day of July. But anyway, John Havlicek died 17 days after his birthday, born April 8th, dead April 25th, 17 days later, dead in Jupiter, Florida. Jupiter's not far from Miami. Thursdays are named after Jupiter. Zeus, the Thunder God. The top two teams in the NBA this year were the Thunder in the West and the Celtics in the East. The Thunder and the Celtics both won the day of the Super Bowl. There were only two games in the NBA. And funny enough, the teams that won that day, the Celtics and the Thunder, they were the top teams, right? So John Havlicek died in Jupiter, which is connected to Zeus, the Thunder God. So I'm just saying, just think about this because we're going to get to how important this is with what happened in today's game. Just how 17 it was and how all of this is no doubt part of one big, sick, nasty script. That John Havlicek would die 17 days after his birthday and die the same day that Joe Biden announced he was running for president. If you do not know this, look it up. It's a fact. Joe Biden's Secret Service name is Celtic. So on the day that Joe Biden announced he was running for president, John Havlicek, the Celtic, died. Okay. And you know what else is funny is that RFK and Biden have the exact same birthday, but if I'm not mistaken, Biden was born exactly 17 years later. Now you got RFK Jr. in the race this year. Okay. When Havlicek died, it was 156 days after Biden's birthday. Boston Celtics is 156, okay? So look at this. The Celtics, today, the day of their win, by winning this game, they became 18-20 versus the Heat all time. They came into this game with 17 wins versus the Heat, but they won today and got 18, okay? They came in with 17. And from Joe Biden's birthday to today's game was 153 days later. 153 is the 17th triangular number. If you go back and look, when LeBron went from Ohio to the Lakers, there were headlines that said he got a $153 million contract. I still have them archived on my website. Some headlines also, if you go back and look, you'll see some said 153 million, and you'll see that some said 154 million. Both symbolic because 153 has the 17 connection, like LeBron did get the Lakers their 17th championship in his 17th season. But the 154 matters as well because King James is 154. How he won it for the Cavs on the real King James's birthday. And again, King James' son was King Charles, and those who fought for King Charles were Cavaliers. And now we're in the time of the King Charles, who's connected to the English Civil War in history as they give us this new Civil War. Anyhow, this John Havlicek thing was nasty. And, the Jesuit fingerprints were all over it. That 191 number you see on the screen that connects with Havlicek and the Jesuits, that was also when Beau Biden died, it was 191 days from Joe's birthday. But also at that time in the news, they were saying violent images wipe away 17 months. Oh, you know what else I recall? The year the Celtics lost to the Warriors, and then Bill Russell, who played for the Celtics and went to the Jesuit University in San Francisco, where the Warriors are, He died on the last day of that Jesuit Ignatian year, but that was the same time that the finals were starting, on the day that Biden addressed the nation about the mass shooting in Uvalde. And then he talked about the green Converse that one of the victims wore, which are the old school sneakers for the NBA, especially the Celtics, the green Converse. And again, then Biden went down to Texas on the anniversary of JFK's birthday to talk about Uvalde on May 29th. He did that first, and then he talked about the green Converse and he talked about the shooting in Uvalde for 17 minutes. So again, we've been talking about just how big this has been for all these years. We were talking about it back when Havlicek died, Uvalde. Now here we are, all these years later, and it's Joe Biden, it's the Celtics, it's 17 again, it's the NBA playoffs. The Celtics are on 17 championships in pursuit of 18, right? So here's what's interesting about this. Again, they came in with 17 today. They got their 18th win today. And let me see, did I put the screenshot up here or did I forget to put it up? If you measure from the day that John Havlicek died, April 25th, 2019, to, let me see if I wrote it down somewhere in here. Did I forget to write this part down? I totally forgot to write it down. Maybe I was just gonna. We talked about this earlier today on Patreon. Maybe I decided not to write this part down because I was like, save something for. Oh no, it's right there. Why is it not coming up? There it is. Okay, so from the day that Havlicek died to the day that the finals begin is 1,869 days. And what's weird about that is 1869 is the year that we got the 18th president, right? So we were looking at all this stuff before the game and how this game could be tied up with, again, Joe Biden, the election. So at halftime, the score of this game, you guys, was 60-45. The upcoming election's the 60th. It's Joe Biden, whose Secret Service name is Celtic, versus Donald Trump, number 45, who likes to spend a lot of time down in Florida. Again, this is against Miami. Miami equals 45 as well in Gematria. Miami was down 60-45 at the half. There's these Kennedy parallels who are from Massachusetts. Kennedy has that Gematria 78. This is the 78th NBA season. If the Celtics, who are the favorites in the East, do make it to the finals at this point, they're paying almost nothing on them at this point in the season. We've been looking at them all year if they could be a team. There's 3 teams in the East with the 78 connection. They all made it to the playoffs. Celtics are one of those 3 teams. But the NBA Finals not only begin 1,869 days after Havlicek died, they begin on the 78th anniversary of the Celtics being established, which was June 6th in history, the day of Game 1 of the Finals this year, 6-6. And just something else that's really interesting, the Finals have only started on 6-6 4 times before. And out of those 4 times, LeBron was in one of them, and the other 3 times, the Lakers were all in the finals that started on 6-6. And 6-6 is like 66. And of course, the year LeBron won his first finals, they shortened the league season to 66 games that year. LeBron equals 66. LeBron James, the small ways, 66. Lakers is also 66. So you can see why in history they've been there on that day. Is it going to go 5 for 5 this year? That remains to be seen. But there is something about the Celtics maybe playing LeBron's old team. The Celtics winning by 20 is funny because Heat equals 20. And what's crazy is the Celtics won today, right? So the Celtics improved to 18-20 versus the Heat in the playoffs all time. The Heat fell to 20-18 versus the Celtics. If they lose the next game, the Heat will be 20-19 versus the Celtics. And this all seems to be going back to the death of John Havlicek in the year 2019. And sadly, this is the kind of stuff we've been documenting year after year. You know, last year, Norma Hunt of the Chiefs dies on June 4th, 6-4. Then the Chiefs win the Super Bowl in the 64th NFL season when Kansas City Chiefs is 64. Just like how they won that Super Bowl while Montana was in his 64th year of life. And Doug Williams was 64 in Super Bowl 54 over the Niners. Again, Joe Montana wore 19 with the Chiefs. Chiefs beat the Niners in the 1920 season, and then this year they became the first team to go back-to-back in 19 years, beating Montana's Niners with his Montana's Chiefs. Rituals, numbers, jerseys, all of the American sports leagues being credited to Freemasonry, D.C. being known as the Masonic City. 17 matters because modern Freemasonry was created in 1717. The headquarters for Masonry in D.C. is at the address 1733, where Mason equals 17 and Masonry equals 33. Modern Freemasonry since 1717. This nation in 1776, 59 years later, which is the 17th prime. Joe Biden won the 59th presidential election. Again, it's just a major league coincidence. Like, even if you're not aware of the 17 of the Gematria, I mean, just isn't it really weird that his Secret Service name is Celtic and one of the most famous Celtics would die the day that he announced he was running for president? In 2019, in Jupiter, which goes with Zeus, which goes with Thunder, which goes with the top two teams in the league this year. I just thought about how they made the Sonics into the Thunder, and I thought about where the parallel is in the names. I wonder if there's something more about Seattle and Oklahoma City. There's been two great receivers for the Seahawks that are both from Oklahoma who have the exact same birthday, and right now the names are evading me. But if you look into the great Seahawks greats all time, you're going to see exactly what two receivers are from Oklahoma with the same birthday that are big names in the Seahawks history. But the Seattle Sonics were named after sonic booms. When you break that barrier, the huge sound that you can hear from jets. You break the sound barrier, the sonic boom. And thunder, thunder, another big boom from the sky. Remember, the Sonics went down to Oklahoma City. But yeah, I mean, really, how can it just be a coincidence year after year? Go back and look at everything we've been talking about. 17-minute speech about Uvalde where he kept saying 17. Go back and watch his 17-minute speech about Uvalde. He ends at the end by saying they'll mourn for 17 more days. And it's like, why will they mourn for 17 more days? I don't get it. Why 17 more? Been talking about the same thing. Secret societies, masonry based in Kabbalah. This whole thing of letters and numbers. Gematria comes from Kabbalah. The Cabal, Kabbalah. Again, the calendar, the language of the 16th century, the Jesuits. This was the record before the win today. They came in 17-20. Again, from the other perspective, the Heat came in 20-17, are now 20-18. Remember, in 2018, that's when Obama endorsed 81 candidates on August 1st, and then Biden won with 81 million votes. And now he's 81 while this is going on. President Biden equals 81 in Gematria. Ritual equals 81. President Trump equals 81. Not to be outdone. These guys up against each other again, 60-45 at the half. See, this stuff's more powerful when you watch it from the perspective we do when we talk about it on Patreon. Because we're talking about before the game. Just like yesterday, we started the stream talking about how important New York and 111 was yesterday. Sure enough, the Knicks win with 111 points. Again, you learn the knowledge, you see what goes on day in and day out, and you realize something's a lot bigger here. If I didn't say so already, too, the Celtics win with 114. President of the United States, 114. Okay, let me see if we got Daria out there. Daria, if you're out there, I'm dropping the link in the StreamYard. Let me text her as well, make sure she's aware. Hold on, I got to text sweet lady, too. Never ignore your sweet lady. Always text back something nice. Let's see. Oh, Daria's out there. She's on the spot. I can't even find her in my cell phone. She's already in here. All right. Let's bring on the wonderful Daria. If you guys are not familiar with Daria, one of the greatest minds in the community. She's come out and pounded pavement with us in Oklahoma City, which was already over 2 years ago, New York City. And she's just always a great contributor to the research. When she came out to Oklahoma City, she had another edition about what they'd really done there on April 19th, 1995. And today she's got some thoughts about Columbine. And again, if you guys got here late, we were talking about how just the way they sync up sports and history, The Nuggets got their 99th. They also won with 114 yesterday. Nuggets got their 99th playoff win all time in franchise history on the anniversary of the 99 shooting when Columbine High School's 99. And that it's more than a number 99. The United States of America equals 99, and this country was named on 9/9. And the Illuminati was founded a little before that, May 1st, 1776, on a 99 date numerology. 99 has a relationship with 13. LA has the 13 connection. Remember, Kobe died at 41 and his daughter 13. LA equals 41 in reverse, 13 forwards. 41's the 13th prime. Again, Jokic, the 41st pick. There's longer explanations for all these things, but again, 99, big number, big time symbolism here. And again, while people are distracted with the screens in the sports and not looking into what their government's up to, this is kind of the reason they do it, because it's how they know they got society. They're like, look at what we're getting away with. Making them pay all these taxes, running all these operations on them, but they're not looking into anything. They're just too damn entertained. Who wants to research anything when we're mocking the idea of a conspiracy theorist over here and then using that programming on society that conspiracy theorists are weaklings to take your money over here at the rigged boxing match, which us, the dubbed conspiracy theorists, who I hate, you should never refer to yourself as a conspiracy theorist because it's a coined term to instantly create a reaction to somebody so they don't even listen or take it seriously. You're somebody who's questioning things. You're a truth seeker. But really, I mean, mostly where people are questioning. Some people are making too big of assumptions, and then they do become the conspiracy theorist, and that's why they're easily debunked. But when you're asking the right questions and come up with nothing but proof and evidence, again, you can see year in and year out, we're here showing what they're doing. Lecturing about New York and 111 way before the game starts, only to get another New York 111. Again, New York's 111, 9/11, the day leaving 111 days left in the year. This year, the leap year. Playoffs for NBA and NHL start on the same day. 2 New York teams in the NBA and NHL playing, plus the Yankees had the first slated game of the 111th day of the year. Over and over, you guys, the Mets lost in the 111th World Series to the Royals in the time of the Queen. Daria, that's the other thing we got to talk about when I get Daria on here. Not only Columbine, we got to talk about Prince because it's the anniversary of Prince's death. And again, Prince is one of the things that woke the most people up to this knowledge. Sadly, we predicted Prince's imminent death when Vanity died the day of the Grammys, and today is the 8th anniversary of Prince's death. So we'll talk more about that too. But again, that was the Queen's birthday, the 111th day of the year. It was a leap year. Today is the anniversary of what would have been the Queen's birthday and Prince's death, 111th day of the year in a non-leap year. And the Royals won the 111th World Series over New York. So anyway, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to get Daria on here. And thank you again, Daria. And sorry about spacing yesterday. I appreciate
it. Okay,
How you doing, Daria?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Let me make sure I got the audio right. I'm going to switch over a few things to make it better so everyone can hear you. Or no, I think. All right. I think we're good, Daria. Let me know how you guys hear Daria in the chat. Go ahead, Daria.
Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Thanks for having. First of all, thanks for having me on, Zach. I always wanted to talk about this shooting. Yesterday, of course, was the 25th year anniversary of the Columbine shooting. For those of us who were alive back then, you know, we all remember where we were when it happened, just like 9/11. I was 19 years old at the time. Again, I was, you know, at home. At the time, I was working swing shift, so I was home during the morning, and I do remember the news breaking of a school shooting in Colorado, and of course, you know, it was on every single major news outlet. You couldn't get away from it. You know, it was just 24-hour news cycle. You know, it was just it was something that, you know, we've never seen before, you know, even though there had been, you know, other mass shootings in the past, but it's like, you know, this one was a big one. Was I surprised when it happened? I would say no. I'm sure, you know, everybody was caught with their pants down, you know, when this happened, but I would say I was not surprised when this happened. There were, you know, some minor school shootings before this one. There were other, of course, mass shootings. Of course, you had the McDonald's massacre in 1984. You had the Lubbies in Texas. You had the, of course, who can forget about the Charles Whitman shooting back in '66. But of course, and in none of those shootings, you never saw any type of, where they really, really went after, guns. Of course, the first major gun control legislation was passed in '68 after the assassinations of MLK and RFK. We did see the assault weapons ban in 1994, but it didn't really do anything. So they needed a push. It's like, okay, why start shooting up restaurants or anything. Let's just start targeting schools. What better way to install more fear and let's get people to give up their rights by targeting schools. We have to make sure, well, for the children's sake, we have to keep them safe. But this was a big one. But even when it happened, I knew something was wrong. It's just like 9/11. You just know, okay, something's not right here. So this was the first, I guess you can say, event that really woke me up, and I noticed, okay, something's not right here. I don't know if the story doesn't add up. It just didn't make any sense. So, of course, everyone knows that Columbine took place on April 20th, 1999. Everyone associates that day with being Marijuana Day. Of course, Colorado was one of 3 states to legalize marijuana. The one everyone is familiar with was, of course, it was Hitler's birthday. They consider this attack to be some kind of like anti-Semitic, even though one of the shooters was Jewish. So it didn't make anything. Even though this was an attack on mostly Christians, a lot of Christians went into that school. But there's something else. There was something else that took place on April 20th that, most people don't know about, which I find it interesting because, there's millions of people that have researched this event, and no one's ever thought of looking into, the significance of the date. So on April, 85 years before Columbine, there was a massacre that took place. It was the Ludlow Massacre of 1914. And this was a massacre that was, it was a conflict between coal miners and the Colorado National Guard. And there were coal miners who were striking. They were on strike because due to working, in poor conditions, poor pay. And of course, one of the owners of the coal mines was none other than, of course, John D. Rockefeller. And of course, when you think Rockefeller, you think of the World Trade Center. And we know that Columbine was a precursor to 9/11. The Rockefeller family, they financed the construction of the World Trade Center. And, just like how they were connected to this event, they were also connected to 9/11. So 85 years later.
Hey, here, just to make a point, Daria, again, for people who do not know about the history of the Rockefellers and the World Trade Centers, look into it. And now here's an event in Colorado. Yeah, so I'm going to let you do it. But I just want to make sure people are aware of this piece of history. CNN has the story from in the time after Columbine about how one of the killers journaled about how he wanted to hijack planes and crash them into New York skyscrapers. And then Dylan Klebold, his birthday, one of the 2 Columbine shooters, his birthday, September 11th. And the other one, Eric Harris, his birthday's April 9th, the 99th day of the year, going with Columbine High School 99. And just what is 9 times 11? It's 99. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, these were, if you weren't alive back then, these were big time stories. Again, the big time stories of like this period of time is Waco 93, Oklahoma City 95, Columbine 99, September 11, 2001. And the other one I'm missing is when that plane crashed before 9/11 in New York. And people were saying
it was TWA Flight 800.
Yeah, those are like the biggest, and of course the O.J. Simpson trial. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some other things, Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, but these are all easily in the top 10 stories of the '90s and in that period of time. Would you agree with that?
Yes, and speaking of Bill Clinton, you have to remember that this event happened right after he was acquitted by the Senate for the Monica Lewinsky scandal, and this was of course going on during the Kosovo conflict.
Okay.
I think it was like in yeah, it was in, I think it was Yugoslavia. I do remember watching a little bit of the Bowling for Columbine. Of course, Michael Moore, Jewish supremacist. Yeah, there was a conflict going on right around the time when this happened. So again, 85 years, after the Ludlow massacre, the coal miners, they went on strike, and it was an uprising. Of course, there were people that were killed, coal miners, women and children. And so, you have to think, what are the odds? You have two massacres taking place in the same day on the same state, 85 years apart. That
And then
is,
it reminds how we invaded Afghanistan on the day leaving 85 days left in the year, and then what the United Nations just did with, or again, just the war starting in between Israel and Gaza with 85, and the 80, you guys, the war that just started in Israel and Ukraine, or not Israel, Israel and Gaza, that was on the day leaving 85 days left in the year, which was the anniversary of us invading Afghanistan after 9/11. But when that war just started in Israel, it was also the 85th week since the war with Russia and Ukraine began. And now, just yesterday, we gave a lot of money. It's funny. The headline I saw yesterday said 60 billion. Today's headline says 95 billion. We all know where 95 goes to. But again, we gave all this money to Ukraine and Israel yesterday, the anniversary of Columbine, but also the anniversary of Hitler's birthday. And Hitler's story is why so many European Jews moved to Israel and now live there after the world wars. And then again, a lot of the Jews in Europe had migrated west from what used to be ancient Khazaria, which is where Ukraine and Russia is. So the ancient like homeland of the Jews is getting money. And so is Israel on the same day, the anniversary of Hitler's birthday. And this whole 85 thing, again, the word Templar is 85, and the Jesuit motto, Isus Hominum Salvator, is 85, and the Jesuit logo is the Templar motto with the cross. And the Jesuits and the Templars are military orders of the Catholic Church, and Hitler is modeled after Hitler's Nazi regime was modeled after the Templar, or not the Templars, but the Jesuits. And again, I mean, just why would these patterns keep coming up? So I never knew this about the Ludlow massacre, but I'm just always saying there's that 85 again. And yeah, you're nailing it right on how this was like a precursor to 9/11, and they even connected these stories for us with news stories.
mm-hmm.
It's something else. So I'll be quiet, Daria. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Can you pull out your calculator, the gematria calculator?
Okay.
Okay, so of course there were two shooters in this event. Of course, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. You want to type in Eric Harris's full name, which is Eric David Harris.
Let's see, Eric David Harris. 85, yeah, 85. What do you know?
So he was the one that got most of the blame. They blamed it on him. They're saying that he was, the mastermind. He was the psychopath, and his friend Dylan was just, the follower. So he did. Eric Harris did die 11 days after his birthday. So 11 is, of course, the master number in numerology.
And born on the 9th, right? Born on the 99th day of the year. Yeah. Indeed.
So, and of course, everyone knows that, this event took place, the massacre took place in the school's library. And of course, to this day, no one's been able to figure out, okay, why would they go into the library where they just keep going, from classroom to classroom, just shooting up students.
Sure.
So, of course, type in the word library.
Libraries where the history books are. 85. And I'm noticing the 104. So both of their names are 85 and 104 because when I look up here at this event, I see that it took place on the 104th meridian in West. And we know 104 is one of those big Roman Catholic Church numbers, just like the Templars are part of their history.
Yeah. And of course, one of the victims, the most known victim of this event was, of course, her name was Rachel Scott. She was the Christian, but yeah, just type in her name. Her full name is Rachel Joy Scott.
Joy?
Yes. Do you see the 204?
I maybe I spelled her name different than the way it actually
No,
is.
it's there. It's the 204. Do you see it?
Oh, yeah, the 204. Okay.
That's the date.
Oh, yeah, 20/4. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Her birthday is actually August 5th, 8/5, like 185.
You know what celebrity they attached to this shooting so much? At the time, I just remember how a lot of media was pointing to that they thought this was the influence of Marilyn Manson. Have you ever looked into the Marilyn Manson angle with Columbine?
His full name. His full name is actually I think it's Brian Hughes. Let me see. Type in Marilyn Manson's full name.
Brian Hugh Warner, like Warner Brothers.
It's 85 as well.
Yeah, look at that. Crazy.
And remember, he was the one that got most of the blame. You know, they blamed him for it, even though, you know, I don't recall these kids ever listening to, they weren't fans of him. So I mean, he was an obvious, you know, target. You know, they targeted him, you know, because he was the, you know, the poster child for, you know, Gothic, you know, antisocial, you know. But
you know, I looking at Marilyn Manson, he is 55 right now. Satan equals 55, as we know. So does God when you run it the other way. He has the song, "When you say God, I say 10." And both God and Satan equate to 55 and 10. And 55 is the 10th triangular number and the 10th Fibonacci number. But he is a member of the Church of Satan. And I remember when Trump was running in 2016, Marilyn Manson put out the music video with Trump dead in a pool of blood. And again, Trump runs on Mega, the highest degree of the Church of Satan. So I'm wondering if maybe somehow this is coming to a greater narrative right now with Marilyn Manson being 55 years old.
Yeah.
The election would be exactly 10 months after his birthday. That's, you say God, I say 10. Huh. 10 months after his 55th birthday. That's wild. Okay. Go ahead, Daria.
Let's see. Okay, so yeah, so it's obvious, you know, that, you know, Marilyn Manson, you know, he was chosen, you know, for this, you know, ritual. Of course, you know, they went after him big time. After this happened, I do remember, you know, there was such an uproar. You know, they started, you know, they wouldn't let him, you know, tour in certain cities. They wouldn't even play his music in certain, you know, certain radio stations. But that wasn't even the band that they, you know, they were fans of. The band that they were fans of was a band named KMFDM, and ironically, they released their last album on that same day that Columbine happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my!
It was called Adios, which
Adios. I got it. I never knew this before.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just, I mean, there is just, Zach. I've been decoding many events, and I have never seen, you know, such a massive ritual like they did with the school. I mean, it is absolutely amazing what they did. You know, the music, you know, Manson, you know, the anniversary, you know, 2 massacres, you know, on the same day, you know.
Hey, look at what day they re-released that album. Do you see it?
Yes.
May 8th. I mean, that can be written 85, another 85.
Yeah.
And that's the 128th day of the year. If you guys missed what I was saying yesterday with the latest FBI warning of the imminent China cyber attack, I was thinking, 19 days later is the 128th day of the year. Again, that was the number all over the bridge collapse connected to the power going out on the boat. And the FBI director says it's going to be Chinese hackers, which equals 128. Again, you look back through history, you start to realize, like, okay, we probably saw the biggest 128 ritual ever this year at the Key Bridge, but again, 128 in numerology is 1 + 2 + 8 is 11. And just like you were saying, Eric Harris, 11 days after his birthday on the 9th, this goes down. He's the one who journaled about crashing planes into the World Trade Center when the other guy has a September 11th birthday. What else do you have, Daria? This is crazy. Yeah, your observations here are wait a minute. It says, hold up. It says that album Adios was recorded in Seattle. This just reminds me that Washington and Colorado were the first two states to legalize marijuana, and then because it's 420, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that happened, you had the Super Bowl between Colorado and Washington. And again, that's the one where Denver equals 94 and Seattle, Washington equals 94. And Russell Wilson's grandpa died at 94. It was the 94th NFL season. The Seahawks won. Seahawks equals 48. It was Super Bowl 48. Anyway, there's always been this link. And then remember how when the Seahawks beat the Broncos, it was the Seahawks' 38th season. And again, Colorado equals 38. It's the 38th state. Russell Wilson went to the Seahawks on March 8th, and then he led the Broncos to a 3-8 record where they became 3-8 versus the Panthers, which equals 38. And again, the Panthers lost in Super Bowl 38, and then they lost on the 38th day of the year to the Broncos when Peyton Manning rode off into the sunset. Just today, we love the 38 combination in hockey today. The Panthers in hockey improved to 3-8 all-time in the playoffs versus Tampa Bay today. Panthers equals 38. Florida, battle of... Again, you guys, this knowledge, like I'm talking about this stuff historically all the time so that the people who listen will apply it in the now because this stuff's going on all the time too. But this is crazy. Yeah, what else do you got, Daria?
Oh, okay. So of course, we have, this, this album, of course, very symbolic, of course, adios, which is, of course, Spanish for, goodbye. It's kind of like, they were saying, goodbye to everybody. And, it's just, let's go to the other one, Dylan Klebold.
Okay. 9/11.
So his full name is Dylan Bennett Klebold. It equals 93. And of course, when you think of September 11th and 93, you think of the first World Trade Center attack that happened in 1993.
Okay. You said Dylan Klebold's full name is what?
Dylan Bennett Klebold.
Okay. He did some great research. Okay. But yeah, the 93 World Trade Center bombing, of course, right when Clinton became president.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting it up here so people can see it. Oh, it's 177 and 69 like the Jesuit order, 93. Yeah. Infamous number.
Yeah,
okay.
So he was the Jewish kid.
Right.
Because he was Jewish. The other one, I don't really know if he was any type of religion. He used to make fun of like Christian people. But the thing is that 93 is very symbolic because a lot of stuff went down in 93. Of course, the first World Trade Center attack. Of course, you had Waco. Of course, that was precursor to Oklahoma City bombing. And then, of course, these two obviously wanted to be, like Timothy McVeigh. But this plan actually went into motion the same day that Bill Clinton took office. It is synced up with Mr. Bill Clinton.
Sure.
This happened, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this shooting happened exactly 75 months after he took office.
For the first time?
Yes.
Here, that's the order out of chaos number that we talk about so much. We're at this critical moment of Israel being 75. May 7th is looking interesting, a date that can be written 7-5. That's the 128th day of the leap year.
It was,
Um,
just think it was weeks.
Remember the Francis Scott Key Bridge came down in the 128 ritual 75 days after his death anniversary, 128 days before his birthday anniversary. Hold up. So from January 20th, 1993 to the shooting, you're thinking that's a big 75?
Yeah, I think it was like 75 weeks or months. But yeah,
Months. Yeah, it'd
there's
be
70
months.
months.
Yeah.
Yes, months.
75 months on the nose, order out of chaos. And,
And little,
it
I was
I
gonna say
just
Littleton, Colorado is 75.
just like order out of chaos, just like New World Order. The president before
Yeah,
him, the first Bush, was always saying New World Order.
yeah.
Got it. And you know who had the New World Order was Hitler, right? Hitler
Mm-hmm.
had the New Order. I gotta go back and look at how he phrased it, but yeah, it's Hitler's birthday too.
Yeah, but yeah, it's obvious that they had this plan. As soon as he took office, it's obviously, Littleton, has, all the military, the defense contracts, Lockheed
Lockheed
Martin,
Martin's
all
right
that.
by there.
Lockheed Martin is just like right next to that school. But yeah, it's like, it's just no doubt, they were targeting, this place for a long time. I find it amusing that no one has ever been able to look at this event from a numerological standpoint. Everybody just, expecting to find something, whether it's in the police reports, of course, you got witness statements, say that they saw more than 2 shooters. Of course, you don't really hear from them. You only hear from the ones who, stick to the narrative. Oh no, it was just them. But, it's just, it's a lot. It's a lot more than just, it's like, okay, what you really expect that these two just did it by themselves? They didn't have any, help. And the thing is, it wasn't even supposed to be, they were planning on this to be in a bombing. They weren't even planning on this to be in a shooting. It was supposed to be a bombing, according to, what they had planned. They were planning on bombing the school cafeteria, but then the bombs didn't go off, and, they just went straight to plan B, but, yeah, and it explains why, McVeigh's trial, was held in Denver, of all places.
Right. Indeed it does. And speaking of the 93 piece you brought into this, Nuggets does equal 93. They got their first big win on a Saturday named after Saturn, the 93 planet. And Saturn, again, it starts its return in the 27th year. So I'm just thinking 2026 will be the 27th anniversary of Columbine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. But
I just noticed something. This distance of 2,281 days. Where did it go? We got the day count up on the screen, 2,281 days, which is 75 months on the nose. That number is the 339th prime number, 2281. And United States of America does have gematria of 339. And again, I was in high school, and it was a day that brought a policy change to our school that we now all had to wear name badges. And if we didn't have a name badge, we could be disciplined. And again, I just thought it was so dumb because I was like, okay, all the security people know my name here. And then literally in the days after, it was like, Hubbard, where is your name badge? And I'd just be like, how is this going to save us from a mass shooter because I have a name badge on when you already know my name and now I'm getting in trouble because I don't have my name badge on? It just like, when you think about it, though, it really is like the world that, like, for people who are older who got to live before there was so much government rule and regulation and control of people's life, like to just watch like how the dumb rules come in and then things get worse with time. I just think about from Columbine on and just starting with that dumb policy right there that was now something that the authorities could get you in trouble for if you didn't have your name badge on. Anyway.
I mean, it's so stupid. I'm like, a name badge isn't going to do anything. It was, it's obvious, it was the start of, them pushing for more, so-called safety, in schools. They started pushing for more of the gun control. Because I mean, of course, attacking schools, it's a lot easier to, to install fear in people. it's, oh, I got to keep my kids safe. We have to do something to, stop these shootings, but it's just, they're easier targets. It's obvious that they're easier targets. But yeah, this event was, it actually is synced up with Bill Clinton. It is.
His birthday is August 19th, right?
Yeah. So from that day to the shooting was exactly 244 days.
His last birthday to the shooting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, you type in
8 months and 1 day stands out. Just both of the shooters are born in 81. The word ritual is 8. Both of them. So here's a parallel I see with the Broncos Super Bowl win that was highly symbolic, the Huey P. Newton Bowl where they beat the Panthers. Peyton Manning was in his 18th season wearing number 18, and his first pass of the game was an 18-yard completion to number 81. And so 18 and 81. So both of the shooters were born in 81 and 18 years old. And then this was also 8 months and 1 day after Clinton's birthday. Again, Rituals 81. IHS has the big 18. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Type in their names. Type in their names. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold.
Okay. Eric Harris.
And Dylan Klebold.
And Dylan Klebold. Yeah. Isn't it crazy how it's like that just over and over? Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I was mind blown. I was like, oh my God, gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, it's just so perfect. The other thing about 244 is that number connects with the Illuminati because the Illuminati's birthday, May 1st, is the day leaving 244 days left in the year.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
And the Illuminati's Jesuit, and Bill Clinton's Jesuit educated at Georgetown, and he also went to Yale and was probably in at least one of those secret societies, if not Skull and Bones, like the two Bushes around him. So,
yeah. I wanted to bring up the sports aspect of this.
Okay.
Since of course, we just had the mass shooting, at the Kansas City Chiefs parade, right after the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl. I remember one of the callers saying, "It's like I don't think I've ever seen, an NFL team, just punking their own home crowd, like that after they won a championship." And I was like, I know actually it has happened before, but yeah, recall that the Broncos, they won back-to-back Super Bowls. They won the 98th and they won the 99th season. So it was right before the shooting happened.
Yes, and you brought up San Ysidro. San Ysidro is near San Diego, and San Diego won the World Series that year. Mm-hmm. They won the 81st World Series 81 days after the massacre. And that year, for people who don't know about the San Ysidro massacre, the Ray Kroc, who made McDonald's, died at the beginning of that year. And from his death to the San Ysidro massacre was 187 days later on the 18th of July, 18/7. Remember, Society of Jesus is 187. Holy Roman Empire is 187. Brotherhood of Death's 187. That's Skull and Bones. That's their alias. Washington, D.C. is 187. Big number. It connects with Masonry, 187. There's 187 chapters in the Torah. Abrahamic equals 187. It's a special number, but major ritual with the San Ysidro massacre. And there's so many examples like this. So don't think these are just all the time this is going on, scripting up history in sports and just day after day. But yeah, 1984 World Series. Ray Kroc, who owned the Padres until the time of his death. They go on to win the World Series after his death, the 81st, 81 days later. Keep in mind in baseball, 81, what's the square root of that number 9? And baseball is all about the nines. 9 innings in a complete game. Okay.
But yeah, if you didn't know, the Denver Broncos, they won back-to-back Super Bowls just before the shooting. They won it in the 98 and 99 season. So
I'm trying to think, they beat the Falcons. They beat the Falcons.
Yeah, they did.
The Packers.
They
was
did.
It the Packers?
They beat the Packers and then they beat the Falcons.
Yeah, those are the two teams they beat. Those were the Terrell Davis days. Yeah.
Yeah, the Terrell Davis days. And and I actually thought when I did more research on this for my decodes, remember that a couple months after Columbine, there was a mass shooting outside Atlanta. Remember there was this guy that had opened fire. I think it was at his workplace. But it happened like I think it was about back in July, about 3 months after Columbine happened, which didn't get as much attention because, of course, all the focus was on Columbine. But this didn't get as much attention, but yeah, it did happen. I mean, it was a big one. It was not really that big, but it did.
Atlanta, the big scare they really had in our lifetime. That's one of the stories that's up there too in the 90s was the
bombing
when they had the Olympics. Yeah, the bombing in Atlanta.
Yeah, but yeah, they did have a mass shooting after Columbine. It was right outside of Atlanta. Of course, the shooter was 44 years old. So.
Did you look more into this album that came out the same day as the shooting? I'm just noticing like the name of the group's from Germany. So, they're from Germany, right? It's Hitler's birthday. So I'm like, come on.
And then I think they were both like taking like German classes and they were both like into like German goth and,
look at how the name of the group, it has the infamous 47, but it also is 88. Like somehow. Here, you guys, they always bring 88 and 420 together. Look at this. 420. Watch out when you spell it out, it equals 88. 420, 88, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, again, 420 is associated with marijuana, 88. Yeah, like yesterday, the Dodgers got upset and fell to 8-8 at home, too. Marijuana's 88. California's 88. Those are some nice upsets we saw yesterday. Dodgers getting upset. The boxer with the 88 birthday with the big upset through the marijuana narrative. Again, 420, 88 all the time. And what is it? Is it Mein Kampf? Is that the Hitler book? I think that thing's also 88. Yeah, Mein Kampf is 88. Mm-hmm. His birthday's 420.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, just the level of mockery. See, people think what bothers me is the people who will not listen to us. They're like, no one would do this without looking into it. They just have this assumption that they think is 1,000,000% true that no one would go to these lengths to mock humanity. It's like, well, are you looking? Because I mean, these are just like mega coincidences that just keep happening. It's just like how you brought the Rockefeller family into this. Jay-Z. His first label when he was starting to get known was Rockefeller Records, a play on Rockefeller. And then his big album that really put him on the map came out on the day the World Trade Centers came down, September 11, 2001, when the Rockefellers were behind the World Trade Centers. I mean, doesn't seem weird. So, of course it does. Wow. Did you look into it like how we normally do from the governor angle and just
the thing is that the one thing I did notice is that all the major players in this event, they were all Catholic. The governor, I believe he was Catholic. Even the school principal was a Catholic. So they're definitely they're all either Catholics. Of course, some of them are Christians, but yeah, the governor was Bill Owens. He was the Republican governor of Colorado. He was like the first Republican in a long time to be voted. But yeah, he's definitely he's a Catholic. He's and the same with the school principal also. The one that got all the attention. He was the America's principal.
I already see what they did with this guy. The shooting happened on his 99th day in office, like Columbine High School's 99.
Yes.
Like Eric Harris was born on the 99th day of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And again, yesterday on the anniversary, guys, the Nuggets got their 99th playoff win as a franchise on the anniversary.
Yeah. But it's just there's so much stuff connected to this. It's not even funny. And I mean, this is just the politics of it. There's so much, when it comes to, the politics, the music, of course, the predictive programming, with the book, the final exam, with the Columbine High School label on it. If you, I forgot, the what the there, I don't know, there was something about that book, but it had the picture of the what looked like Columbine High School. Like, it was called, the final exam. There were also, the movie. There was a movie called, The Basketball Diaries with Leonardo DiCaprio, and of course, there's a scene in there where a dream sequence where he's in a trench coat with a shotgun and he shoots up, his classmates. Then there was, of course, the movie that they really liked was, of course, a movie called Natural Born Killers.
Yeah.
Where, it was about these Mickey and Mallory. They were like these mass murderers, but they got all this, fame and all this attention. Ironically, that movie was synced up with this shooting, because everything that these two kids did was all connected to this movie. They even called it NBK, which is the acronym for Natural Born Killers.
Sure.
And even Dylan, I believe it was Dylan. Yeah, Dylan Klebold. He was even his look, even the look that he had was exactly like the character of Mickey Knox from Natural Born Killers.
Huh.
He even started to like dress like him. Even had like the same glasses that he did like in the movie. And ironically, the shooting happened while Woody Harrelson was 37 years old, and of course, that's a big shooting number.
And that's when you're 37, you're also in your 38th year of life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And can you bring up the post that the one about it was synced up with the town of Littleton, the establishment of Littleton, Colorado?
Where was that post at again?
It was in your newer website, the GematriaEffectNews.
I actually had a post on that, on it being 75 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I thought that was your find.
No, it was the one where the establishment, that one right there.
Oh yeah, I forget about a lot of the stuff I cover. I forget more than I remember. Okay.
So the shooting happened 109 years after the establishment, and that is another shooting number.
Yes, and yeah, it's a military number too. Yeah. Again, I have taken the time to watch the video. I haven't looked in a while to see if it's still on the internet, but it used to be very easy to watch the Columbine school shooting footage that was released, and it always blew me away that it was out there because it was boring to watch. There's only it's long. I forget how long it is now, but it's at least an hour long. I think it's a little more than an hour. And there's only a little bit of things that you see on there. But several times there are people walking by with white polo shirts, button-up shirts, and khakis, and they have clipboards. And it's like, okay, who are these people walking around right now in the time of the supposed mass shooting? Like, they don't look afraid at all. Like, what is going on?
Definitely agents. They were definitely CIA.
Yeah, you could just see it. Some kind of operations. Like, okay, what are these? Like the MK Ultra handlers? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, and so and people assume, it was just mental illness. I mean, like, there were sick kids. They were bullied, or they were picked on, or it's like, it's not very hard to brainwash someone, or just or put them under MK Ultra. It's I'm sure it's not very hard. It's just but it's for them to say that there's no conspiracy with this event, and it's like when you try to research this case, it's like, why would they seal up documents for like 100 years? I mean, this is like the Kennedy assassination. It's right. Like, okay, if there's no conspiracy, with the the JFK assassination, then why feel the need to seal up documents for like 50 or 60 years if there's no conspiracy? But there's always a conspiracy.
Yeah. I just saw that the town of Littleton is named for Richard Little, and I just
Mhm.
wanted to look into what Richard Little it is. The first one that came up was a Canadian comedian who died at age 85 in 1938. I mean, that can't
Mhm.
be the same person, can it be? Um, I don't know why a Colorado town would be named after a Canadian comedian, but who is this Richard Littleton the town's named after? I want to find that part out next. Be weird if it was that comedian. Uh, yeah. Did you have any more that you've already researched on this?
Um, if you don't mind, yeah, I'd like to add just just one more point.
Yeah.
Um, um, let's see. the The thing is that when I started doing more decodes, um, the creepy part about this was the deaths afterwards, because there were so many deaths of teachers, students, and it happened like shortly right after this event happened. I again, I'm not gonna, speculate. Oh, these people aren't dead, or like whatever, because or this was a fake shooting. I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't see it, so I'm just going about what I know. But it's just I just wanted to show you guys something that I thought was kind of creepy about this case. If that's okay.
Of course.
Um, I want. Can you look up the teacher that was killed? His name was Dave Sanders. He was the girls basketball coach.
Okay. Dave Sanders, Columbine.
Okay. Yeah, I want. Just type in. Yeah, see if you can find his birthday.
Let me see. Are you aware of his birthday?
Yes, it's October 22nd.
Okay, that's the day leaving 70 days left in the year. Okay.
Okay, so October 22nd, 1951. Okay, now
That means the shooting would have been 180 days later, or a span of 181, the 42nd prime, big gun number. He
mhm,
was 47. Oh, my.
yeah. So check this out. A few months after this shooting happened, the first death that happened after this was the suicide of a victim that was shot. To this day, she's paralyzed. The woman's name is Carla Hochhalter. She committed suicide after she bought a gun at a pawn shop.
Okay.
That lady right there.
I
That
got
lady.
her name. Yeah, I'll put it in here. The Washington Post story is fine.
Yeah, whichever one. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
So this lady walks into a pawn shop, wanting to buy a gun, and I guess she had some bullets in her purse because she was suffering from depression. So when she asked the clerk to if she could look at a gun, he gave it to her. I guess he kind of walked away. So while he was distracted, she loaded a bullet and shot herself in the pawn shop. That the name of that pawn shop equals 201 actually. But here the creepy part is that she died on that teacher's birthday.
Oh, it happened on October 22nd, huh?
Yeah, the news broke on the 23rd, but she passed away on that teacher's birthday.
Huh.
She was 48 years old, and the teacher would have turned 48.
Yeah, that's weird.
And
Yeah, big Illuminati number.
yeah, so I mean that was just it was shocking because it's like, okay, like why would she, commit suicide, right after her daughter was shot,
They
it's
said she shot herself with a 38
hmm
in the 38th state.
yeah. So yeah, the lady, she was 48 years old. She died on what would have been the teacher's 48th birthday. And a few months later, on St. Valentine's Day, there was a double murder that occurred, probably about a couple months. Yeah, it was on Valentine's Day. It happened, just like a few months after Columbine. Two Columbine students were gunned down at a Subway. It was obviously like they're trying to make it seem like it was some sort of like a robbery, even though the money was taken. But one of the victims' names equals 48, just like, the lady that died while she was 48. She died on the teacher's, birthday. That would have been his 48th birthday. I mean, to me, it's like that teacher's birthday was like a clue.
Sure.
It was like a clue of like what was coming to, the people in this town. But again, you can only see it, if you understand, what it is that you're looking for. Because, you show this to people and it's like, well, I mean, that has to be a coincidence. Okay, one is a coincidence, two is not. Okay, and three, okay, you should really, be like, okay, this is just, it's unbelievable. But yeah, it's just, it's sick what they did here to this town.
Sure, and all kinds of towns.
And I was gonna say, so I just wanted to share, just something, when I drove to Oklahoma City, I passed through Denver, and I had to visit this school. I was like, you know what, I need to see this school for myself, because luckily, I'm probably never gonna visit the school again. But Zach, there is really, really weird energy in that school. And it's not even the memorial, it's the school. From the moment you look at it, I mean, you literally just feel sick to your stomach when you look at it. When I saw it for the first time, I literally felt like I was going to throw up, because I mean, it was that bad. Like, it hit me like really bad. And again, I've been to, the Oklahoma City bombing memorial. I've been to the 9/11 memorial. I never got that energy as I got when I saw this school. Okay, the school has some really negative energy. I mean, it's creepy.
Sure. Sure. That's the thing. I mean, just all the history that's hidden from us. I have a feeling that a lot of their rituals and why certain places come up all the time is because they probably just been doing evil stuff there for a long time. And, for all of you guys who don't think spirits and ghosts are real, I actually have something really interesting. I'm going to ask Sweet Lady if she'll give me the footage that her friend gave her from work. So this is something that I have hands on, and somebody might say it's just a glitch of the phone or the camera that captured it. But one of Sweet Lady's coworkers, she's been house sitting at a house, and the people who have her watching, they have a basement in the house, and they set up a place for her to just make her own home down in the basement. And she's been staying down there, but she's been feeling that there was this weird, creepy energy down there. So when the other people came back to take over the host, she just told about her experience down there, and she felt like there was something going on. So this is a while back. So they set up a camera down in the basement, and it's captured it several times. It's just like from both. It's like it's floating, and it comes in both ways on the camera and goes across. It's like this glowing ball just moving slowly in the night. It's always in the witching hour too. It's always like in the 3-something a.m. This ball thing will just come through, and they have this captured multiple times. It's almost like, that is weird. I mean, what is that? It's like, it looks like it's some kind of moving energy. So again, and where Sweet Lady comes from, in Burma, that they very much, it's like it's interesting where she comes from, because there's all these different beliefs converging there. But like, they were raised Christian, but they also very much believe in ghosts and spirits, which a lot of Christians in the U.S. won't. Anyway, I mean, there is something very interesting about this world, and these people are into rituals, and they know the history, and they've buried the truth, and there's got to be a reason they keep going back to certain spots. I remember when I was a freshman at Arizona State University, they started building a dorm there, and then they paused the project to let everybody know that they needed to pause because they were burying it building this new structure on this ancient old burial ground that supposedly was a mistake. So it paused for a while, but then they just decided to build it on top of there anyway. And I was like, I don't know if that's a good thing to live in a dorm room like on top of some ancient burial place. And was that, now I look back at these things, I'm like, was that even an accident, or is that like some sick ritual going on at the university system? So go ahead, Daria.
Yeah. Can you pull up the famous image of them in the cafeteria? You know, the one with the timestamp?
This one right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
You recognize these numbers?
11, 57,
yeah,
20, 63. I mean, I could make observations about all those numbers, but of course the old 11 master number.
Yeah, 57. I think that is the conspiracy equals 57.
That's true. Federal's 57,
yeah.
Rome's 57. It used to be called Rome on the Potomac, where DC is. Scottish Rites 57. The first inaugurated presidents, several of them were 57.
Yeah.
So yeah, 57 is a big number.
Okay, and then of course 20. Of course we know that death is 20.
The Illuminati is 63. Illuminati alone is 48. I was making the point about how Columbine shooting, what this went down as history, has that 20184, big Jesuit numbers, 201 258, like Order of Illuminati, and then Illuminati alone's 48, in light of what you were just saying about what happened to the 48-year-old woman on what would have been the 48th birthday the teacher killed.
So, yeah, and yeah, of course, we know that death is 20.
Yeah.
Just like this kid right here, Dylan, his name is equals 20. 63, I believe Eric Harris equals 63, just like Dylan Klebold equals 63. And trench coats, because they were known for wearing trench coats in school.
That number 63, it relates to a number of things, and one of them is terrorism. Terrorism's a big
They called it teenage terrorism. Yeah.
Right.
Because that was their plan. They were planning on bombing the school, but of course they didn't work. But yeah, their names. Dylan Klebold equals 63, just like Eric Harris, just like terrorism, and of course trench coats, which they were known to wear trench coats. I think they were like one of the few kids that were still wearing trench coats in school. But it's just, but the thing is, nobody ever asked, okay, why did the media keep showing this picture with this timestamp?
Sure.
Because you're not going to know unless you know gematria, that you're going to be able to see, okay, now you know why they show this image with this specific timestamp.
Yeah. I've done a lot of work on Columbine in the past, but I'm sure there's a million more stones to turn over, and you found a whole bunch of good ones and new information. The thing about that German album recorded in Seattle just blows my mind.
I was going to say, I noticed that Wikipedia changed it. This says that Adios is the 10th album. I have a screenshot of it saying that it was the 11th and not the 10th.
Yeah, so you have to look at their actual discography and figure it out. But yeah, that's the thing if you look at old posts on my website, freetofindtruth.blogspot.com, the old posts on there with Wikipedia, it's crazy how many things are just like all the information's completely different that was on there before. It's like, that's why the internet is so Orwellian and just how easy it is for things to change. Dates, numbers, facts.
But yeah, it was actually their 11th album. It wasn't their 10th. And I know because I have the screenshot of it. It was their 11th. And of course, 11 was big with this shooting. Of course, it happened at, after 11, 11 days after that Eric Harris's birthday. So, and of course, Dylan with the 9/11 birthday. But yeah, it's just the ritual they did with the school is just unlike anything I've ever seen. What I found was like 10 times bigger than what they did at Oklahoma City. But, it's, and the thing is, they used, this was the blueprint. They figured out how to get away with, mass shootings, staging mass shootings, using, all the predictive programming, with film, with movies, television shows, books, they use this. So they know, okay, yeah, we know how to take the guns away from people, by start targeting schools. And to this day, you could look at anything. You could look at Uvalde. You could look at the Vegas shooting. Of course, Sandy Hook. You're gonna find, they're all every single one of them. That's how we've ever gotten, was just gun control. But
And
just
remember, 1968, the first major gun control, 201 days after the very Jesuit killing at MLK, and then Columbine shooting, as this thing goes down in history, is 201, and then Sandy Hook was compared to Doom Blaine, which was exactly 201 months earlier, and on and on and on. Again, the Buffalo Top shooting on Israel's birthday had 201 all over it. The Uvalde shooting had 201 all over it. Again, you can see who's really pulling the strings on these rituals. And again, that 201 number's big with the Jesuits, big in this nation's history, big with Inauguration Day, big with a lot of things going on in DC. You can see who's hijacked this government and how they're using this calendar and this language to perform these rituals that scare people out of their rights and liberties, and just create just needless nonsense. I mean, we had to have think about it. We lost a whole day of slave school essentially to have an assembly and be really on point about the new policies because of the Columbine shooting. I mean, what a waste of a day. Just fear mongering, putting crap in our head. Now we got to wear our badge on our clothes. And I mean, just
go through metal detectors in school. Go through metal detectors. Some schools, I think you even have to scan your badges, your school badges. You have a cop, cops in at every single school parking lot, cameras all over the place.
Yep. More campus police. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. I mean, even before Columbine happened, there were certain schools in America where you already had metal detectors. Like I know Portland inner city school had metal detectors in the 90s before I was even in high school, way before Columbine happened. But outside of that, it was like bringing the fear of inner city schools to everybody through what they did.
So it was mostly inner city schools. You never saw any on some of the the rich schools, where all the rich kids go. But it was just mostly inner city schools where they had detectors. But
hey, speaking of rich kids, do you know who Alex Stein is?
No.
He's considered a comedian. He's on YouTube. Sometimes he gets mainstream TV coverage. Fox News seems to feature him. Sean Hannity seems to hate him. Other hosts like him. He's now hired by The Blaze. Okay. I realized that he was hired by The Blaze 201 days after his birthday. And The Blaze is owned by Glenn Beck, who went to Yale. Might have been in Skull and Bones. Remember, the Skulls came out 201 days for Paul Walker's birthday. But he went to that Highland Park High School in Dallas where the Bushes went and where Stafford went and Clayton Kershaw and Scotty Scheffler. And they've been doing a lot. So I'm like, the reason I bring it up is because he just had Donut on his show the other day, and they talked a lot about Gematria, but they didn't really do it justice.
Yeah.
And I thought it was weird because it reminded me that 4 years ago on April 19th, I was in the Capitol at Washington. The Blaze TV was there, and they interviewed me for a long time. Do you remember the story? How I was mad about that because they interviewed me for a long time, and then they didn't talk about what I revealed about Event 201 and all that. But then a few days later, Glenn Beck did a big special on 201 and made it seem like it was this totally liberal agenda. I was like, God, this is so disingenuous.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's weird because it's 4 years later, and now the Blaze TV's talking about Gematria, but kind of in a goofy way.
Yeah. No, and the thing is, they don't take it seriously. They make it seem like, oh, it's just numbers. But they're always going to mock, Gematria. They're always going to make it seem like it's not important. But it's their code. It's their secret code. Obviously, they don't want anybody to know, the real significance behind, all these numbers, or what they're signaling, every time they, whether they flash a number or they report, a number, or what day, they have to mock it, just so they can not have people take it seriously.
Indeed. We saw Comedy Central mock Gematria by the numbers a few years ago.
Jimmy Kimmel, didn't he?
Jimmy Kimmel's done it, yeah, multiple times.
Yeah, he's done.
Turned out Jimmy Kimmel did it way back in the day, like back when he first got his talk show. Before I even knew about Gematria, he was making fun of somebody had shown how computer equaled 666, and then they did it as a spoof because the guy who's warning about 666 in the computer, at the end of his presentation, he tells people to check out his website. So that's what Jimmy Kimmel made the joke about. But it's like, So he's been referencing the Gematria thing for over a decade.
But yeah. Well, I mean, well, thanks for having me on, Zach. Yeah, I just wanted to, just to bring this, just to, to your attention, because, I mean, a lot of people have researched this, but they've never looked at it from a numerical standpoint, knowing that, there's a lot more to this ritual than, what I've pointed out. I mean, I clearly, go on for days with this, but, it's just, it's just another ritual, by the numbers, but, it's pretty massive what they did with this event. I mean, you can't, if you have to pick, your top 5, biggest, I don't like to use the two words that start with F. This was definitely be in the top 5, along with, 9/11, JFK assassination, both major rituals.
And they're still paying tribute to these things too. It's like, this is part of the past, but then they intertwine it with the present. I mean, it wasn't that long ago we were talking about the Columbine tribute in the shooting that had to do with the bowling alley in Vermont. Do you remember what they did with this?
Yeah.
For people who forgot, last year, October 25th, 2023, Lewiston, Maine. Now that I think about it, Lewiston, Littleton, I mean, similar sounding. But Lewiston with the bowling, when Michael Moore had this big film after the shooting about gun control, bowling for Columbine. And Michael Moore's proven over the years he does not mean the things he says. There's for the record, Central Intelligence Agency, Michael Moore, Lewiston, all 117. If you missed what we just showed about George Tenet in the CIA in 117, you're going to want to go back and revisit that. Again, we've always talked about the CIA in 117. But October 25th, the day of this shooting, was the 298th day of the year. Had to do with the bowling alley. Bowling for Columbine's 298. And from the Columbine shooting to that shooting was 1,279 weeks, which is the 207th prime number. Michael Moore's 207, and that shooting was in the 207 area code, the one that just happened. So again, I mean, and this is what shows that it's an ongoing operation for everyone who has that's the thing. If you can read between the lines with this knowledge, for all the people that have arguments that are like, oh, well, that was what that administration did, but this is this administration in there, so how could those things be connected? Like, it just puts all this to the side, and you realize there's something really else that's running this nation and instigating the problems and the solutions, because they're all happening so ritualistically, paying tribute to history. You see, it's an ongoing system, which shows that, again, it's a society, secret societies, a cabal. It shows that it's this organization that's making sure their plans stay on the path that is, again, executed by these numbers. That's why all these things line up so perfectly over and over, day in and day out. And if you could have told me when I first started this research in 2013 that we'd understand things this well, I don't know. I mean, back then you could actually get views and reach people. I think if my presentations were this good back when I started in 2013, maybe we would have changed the world. But somehow we got to change somehow we got to help people see this, because I don't know how people can't see it, but they got to see it. Otherwise, we're getting taken to worse and worse places, like yesterday. Does anyone know what the math is on the $95 billion in additional spending that we're sending to other nations that we have to pay for? I mean, this is why people should be outraged that we're being made to pay for all of these agendas that are all based in these stories they keep cooking up for us. Go ahead, Daria.
Something that I wanted to bring up about this documentary, Bowling for Columbine, is that before it came out, there was a story it's like a triple unsolved murder. That there was like 3 people that were shot and killed outside of a bowling alley, and it happened just before this movie came out. But yeah, it's just, like I said, it's just creepy, the amount of deaths and murders that have happened, after, this event, and it's a triple unsolved murder, of these three guys, that were shot outside of a bowling alley. And, it was just before this documentary was released.
Huh.
But yeah, like I said, there's so many of them, Zach. I don't want to, take up too much of your time already, but yeah, it's just.
Well, Daria, you're not taking up my time. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, and it's like there's so many of them. But yeah, there was before this came out, there was and remember, he was supposedly there, in Littleton, going around, talking to people, filming. Like I think he went to like the bank, and then he went to like a gun store, and I think he went to the bowling alley. I'm not sure if it was the one that these kids went to, but yeah, there was a triple unsolved murder to this day. These three guys that were shot outside of a bowling alley, and it happened just before this documentary was released. So yeah, it's creepy. It's really creepy.
Sure. I was just looking at my first book and where I mentioned Columbine in the book. It's on pages 357, 358, 359, 360. 363, 399, and 454. On page 454, I talk a little bit about the 612 pattern in shootings. It's funny. It's obvious they did not like my teaching on this because Google, which now owns my old Blogspot, they deleted my long post on 612, and it's too bad because I don't remember everything that was on it. But I was like, wow, I'm surprised they targeted that post. But 612 in Jewish gematria, Columbine High School equals 612. And so many shootings in history have been connected to this number. It connects with Dune Blaine, Sandy Hook, the Pulse nightclub shooting on June 12th. Valentine's Day has a connection to 612. Police has a connection to 612. I think that's the real thing that's the most meaningful about this long 612 is that police also has the Sumerian value of 612. And we know that you got the Fraternal Order of Police, which is Masonic, secret societies. It's the police signing off on all the reports and standing in front of the cameras and telling us the supposed facts when they might not really be the facts. So, yeah, I'll remind people that 612 was something that Google took down, which tells me that it might be more important than other things we've identified. And, yeah, Columbine has the 612 all over it as well. So,
yeah. So, yeah, that's all I got, Zach. It's just some information that I wanted to, share, with everyone.
All right. Well, it looks like everybody really appreciate your contribution a lot and your great observations and presentation. If anybody else would like to talk about Columbine or the related events or has some information that would add to the discussion, you're free to join. I want to put the link out there. If people hop in, do you want to come back in, Daria, or do you just want to stay on, or do you got other things to do?
I'll come back in. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, come back. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Really appreciate everything you gave us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Zach. Yeah.
All right, you have a good day, Daria.
Yeah,
Thank you. Bye. All right, yeah, that was supposed to happen yesterday on the anniversary. It's my fault. I forgot. But yeah, very interesting. So the big new lesson for me was Daria talked about how the killer's favorite band released an album the day of the shooting, and the band's from Germany, and it was the day associated with Hitler, April 20th. It's like, come on. The album from the German group was recorded in Seattle. Just Seattle, Colorado. They got the marijuana connection down the road years later. The Up and Smoke Super Bowl after Colorado and Washington State first legalized this shooting on 4/20, the weed date. I mean, these are like jokes paying tribute to the future and also a nod to what's coming next. We got GAD who wants to add to the conversation out in Seattle. What's up, GAD?
How you doing, Zach?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm all right. And by the way, you can call me Brian because that's my government name.
Yes. Okay. Thanks,
Yeah.
Brian. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, no. I saw that you spoke on the Ryan Garcia Devin Haney fight. So I watched the fight last night. So there were 3 knockdowns that were scored, and each of the rounds that were scored, I don't know if you covered this part. It's round 7, round 11, and then round 10. And actually, there were supposed to be other knockdowns scored, but it was very evident that I think the referee was trying to really save Haney from getting knocked out because he looked like he was, looked like he was on cloud nine. But I so I looked through that, and maybe I'm reaching right here, but I guess if you add up the numbers, it adds up to 77, and of course, Christ adds up to 77 in gematria as well. And I noticed that this dude Ryan Garcia kept talking about my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ at the end of the fight, and he keeps saying that in a lot of his tweets. So I did kind of find that specific thing kind of interesting.
Sure, sure. Again, our pre-fight, we thought Ryan Garcia had a real good chance at the upset on 420 because we saw the marijuana ritual. And again, if this sounds dumb to you, I'm sorry it sounds dumb to you because we've been showing how these sports are rigged and they pay tribute to like what the days are known with. So again, if you guys got here late, I just want you to see how if you write out marijuana, it equals 88 forwards and 155 in reverse. So the winner of the fight, Ryan Garcia, his birthday is 8-8. The fight was 155 days after Devin Haney's birthday. And the name Devin is 54, and the word cannabis, the real name of weed, is 54. We saw that if Garcia upset, he was going to become 25-1, like 251, the 54th prime. These numbers come together a lot. And we saw that Normal, the weed legalization group, was 54 years old at the time. And again, go back to March 15th, and you'll see the hottest performing stocks. They had the market on fire. Cannabis on 15/3. But yeah, learn these numbers. What rounds did you say the knockdowns were in again?
Round 7, 10, and 11.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure about that right now. I'd have to look more at it. But yeah, again, if you spell out 420, it equals 88. Same with marijuana. Same with California. We thought the Dodgers would get upset yesterday to fall to 8-8 at home. They did. Again, year after year, these same number patterns come together. And like we also said, conspiracy theorist equals 88. He's got the 88 birthday. He was born 1 year to the day of the conspiracy theory movie coming out. And again, conspiracy theory has a negative connotation in people's mind. They see it as like weak and weird. And people are probably like, oh, this guy's just been online on Twitter tweeting all about conspiracy theories. He's going to get his ass kicked. And then he comes in with a huge underdog with nearly the 5-1 odds and wins. And again, this is exactly what we talked about, how the numbers fit and just that kind of psychological thing also fit. So,
Yeah.
did you think the fight looked? I mean, I've never watched either of these guys fight in my life, but did Devin Haney seem off his game, or did anything stand out to you of just watching the fight?
Well, I'm gonna say this. Watching the fights and following these two guys' careers, I've been on the panel with this kid Devin Haney before, and his father, by the way, Bill Haney. Um, I'll say this. I think Ryan Garcia was kind of playing games, as far as fooling around, acting like he wasn't serious because he looked serious in the fight. Um, I would say both of these because the thing with like boxing in today's time, they allow these guys to rehydrate before the day before the fight. So these guys will lose 20 something pound, 25 pounds of their natural weight to make a certain weight class. So I would say that Haney kind of looked like a Skeletor in the fight. Maybe he was maybe he was kind of drained, but honestly, I would say this as far as what I was looking at. If I was if you take away the gematria aspect, the numbers, this is something I thought was going to happen to Devin Haney anyways because he can't take a punch to save his life, and I kind of figured this was going to happen to him eventually. Um, but if you're talking about face value, if it looked rigged, for face value, it kind of it there's possibilities of a fight going one way or another depending on how things went. But I thought that everything that I thought was going to happen to this kid was going to happen to him. If he fought the right dude, um, like someone like Ryan Garcia. But I think one thing I would say is that the whole shenanigans with Ryan Garcia, as far as him faking like he was drinking beer at the weigh-ins, I mean, imagine that in today's time. I think that there was a lot of shenanigans, a lot of him playing around and acting like he wasn't taking it serious when he actually did. I would say that was something that I think that caught me off guard because I actually kind of bought into the foolishness. I thought he was gonna get his ass whooped, honestly. But
Yeah, that's I mean, that's how they psychologically trick people, and then they got the number ritual on it too. And then the other
right,
thing is that we've seen plenty of black fighters get shamed in 42 rituals. This black fighter who was undefeated goes down on 420. I mean, what are the key digits there? 4-2. So it's like another
right.
42 black fighter ritual on top of that. And they're both 25 years old. And this is the most important win Ryan Garcia gets his 25th. So yeah, we saw a lot of numbers. We saw the real possibility at the upset. And again, I maintain that I think nearly all these fights are rigged, man, because they got to make sure that they're winning. They got the casino has to make sure the bank is coming in.
Oh yeah, no, I think when it comes to these guys like Garcia and Devin Haney, they're brotherhood. I mean, you know understanding Haney, this dude sitting up here wearing Balenciaga on his Instagram fucking posts. Um, but at the same time, and it's just funny how they use their religion as as like a cover for who they truly worship. Of course, um, he claims to be a Muslim, by the way. Um, and what's his name? Ryan Garcia claims to be a Christian, but and maybe there's a dual aspect to that, ironically. But yeah, no, I mean, majority of those. I mean, I would say the majority of these top level entertainment type fights with these type of guys, these top dudes definitely are rigged. You know.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. I didn't realize that Devin Haney was a Muslim.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, it makes even more sense now because again, Ryan Garcia became 25-1, which is like 251, the 54th prime. Again, Devin equals 54, cannabis 54, Islam equals 54.
Oh,
Funny enough, the word terrorism equals 54 because they killed Osama bin Laden on his 54th day, being 54 years old. So there's been a lot of 54 rituals with Islam. I was missing that piece of it. And then Jesuit orders 54, and they have the Templar cross. And of course, they're more Christian than Muslim. So all the symbolism's there. Stuff going on in Israel right now, the money getting passed on that day. Yeah, I see a lot more symbolism in it now than just the cannabis conspiracy theory thing. That the Muslim angle makes sense. So yeah, I appreciate that piece of information.
yeah, and also I did check just a quick second of the gematria. I think in the reverse ordinal that knockdown is equals 38. I don't know if did you check that one?
Knockdown.
Yeah, I think is it yeah knockdown. Let's see.
Knockdown's 110. Typically, that's the 110th day of the year, but it was a leap year, so it made it 111. But yeah, knockdown's also 38.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
no, it
20,
definitely is. Isn't it? Oh, go ahead.
there's a big pattern with 26 in boxing. KO's 26 and boxers 26 and athletes 26 and game is 26. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh yeah, and yeah, no, and also too, I believe because there's another parallel because I think because they have four belts, they have four sanctioning bodies in boxing. There's the IBF, the WBC, the WBO, and the WBA. And I think the title that was supposed to be on the line was the WBC is belt. It's called what is the was it the junior welterweight belt? I believe was supposed to be on the line, but it wasn't tonight or the last night because Ryan Garcia missed weight by three pounds. Of course, 3 pound. Of course, 3 pounds. He missed weight 3 pounds, and of course, he scored three knockdowns. Ironically, when I watched the fight, I scored. There was other people that scored five knockdowns, but once again, it was very obvious the ref was really coordinating everything so that it didn't go too out of hand. I scored four knockdowns, but come to find out, I was wondering like why did they say there was only three knockdowns? I saw more than three. So that,
Maybe the ritual got messed up. Maybe there was only supposed to be 3. I know his nickname King Rye equals 33. So 3 knockdowns for King Rye in the big upset. So yeah, maybe that was a mistake.
yeah.
I got to pause real quick. Oscar Garcia, who passed away? Somebody we know from our community? Go ahead while he responds.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Brian.
no doubt. No doubt. Yeah, so yeah, yeah, so trying to think. Yeah, so maybe I'd have to do a video myself on it, just looking into it now that it's really confirmed that it's technically it was rigged now. Because I was kind of on the fence, was this rigged or not? Um, but now, and actually, a friend of mine actually said, yeah, it's probably a rigged fight. And when I initially saw it, and when I thought about it, I was like, it kind of went how I thought it potentially could go. But now looking at it, it's very ritualistic now. These numbers.
It is, man. I really think it's hard to find an authentic competition in this day and age. Everything's so sold out and controlled by money and ratings and the casino and
Yeah, it
um,
honestly it makes me think twice, man. Like at least as far as the boxing aspect, because a lot of because see, here's another thing too. A lot of these dudes that they be on YouTube, they watch videos like these, whether they admit it or not. I know they've seen my videos, running my mouth about them. So
sure.
it may, just because I mean things are corrupt, things is bullshit. I mean, you got guys sitting out a whole year, but you keep a belt. Like, what kind of shit is that?
Right,
You know?
right. Exactly. You should have to give it up if you're just going on vacation.
Right. So I mean, so my thing is like, I mean, sometimes I be thinking twice, but it's like, look, I just stay in my own lane, do what I need to do. But once again, I mean, it's just, it just shows just how scripted this society is, and just more and more, when I look at society now, just in general, like everything is just, it's like even with this Iran, because once again, I'm an Israelite, right? So
Sure.
with this the Iran and situation, that's a big biblical prophecy in the scriptures for sure. But it's still hard. It's still like when you have the Council of Foreign Relations, you have the UN, you have the Belfast, what is it, the League of Nations, the Trilateral Commission. When you have all these different people, the UN, of course, it's obvious. Of course, I believe in what I believe in, but I understand that these guys are utilizing the Bible or the scriptures as a timeline to use their particular rituals for their specific prophecies and whatnot, and it's very evident. And it just seemed like this whole thing going with Israel and Hamas. Yeah, I'm reading this in the scriptures, and I understand that. But at the same time, I also see that there are things that are being fucking orchestrated. It's just hard not to see. And then this thing with
It
Iran and
it's
Israel,
just
yeah,
like it's literally impossible not to see. I mean, Israel waits all those days to retaliate until the leader of Iran's 85th birthday, when the war began on the day, leaving 85 days left in the year. We've been talking about how important this 85 thing is the whole time. It's such a joke, man.
it is. And then this and then the funny thing is, it's all in these sports leagues and these particular individuals on the stage, that of course their names or some of the things that they do or the incidents that they get involved with is also linked in with this. It's just kind of it's just a fake ass world that we live in, man. That's just, I
It
mean,
is.
I think at this point, I mean, it's like you have to be very remedial. You have to be very simple minded to really think that this shit is all real, man.
Yeah, indeed, indeed, indeed. We got another person that jumped on the stream. You mind if they come on too? See what they got to add?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. What's up, rigging pots?
Yeah, hey, first of all, this fight last night was a joke. It was so fucking obvious that it was rigged. Garcia during the fight kept turning his back. They kept holding, trying to buy time to get the decision. It was such a joke. Here's the decode, the cherry on top. King Raya is Ryan Garcia's one of his nicknames, but his other one is the Flash. Put in Ryan the Flash, right?
Ryan the
I wasn't
Flash.
even gonna. I wasn't even going to gamble until I saw your video yesterday where you did the Adolf Hitler, Society of Jesus, Washington, D.C. It matches almost fucking perfectly with those numbers.
Yeah. No, I see you're saying it. It's like identical to those names. It's the exact same as Adolf Hitler in
On 420, yeah. As soon as I saw that shit, I was like, this thing is rigged. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Who did it? Those are big Jesuit numbers, 56, 187, 61.
Yeah, but and he had 3 flash knockdowns, right? He was 3 pounds overweight. I mean, the shit was so fucking fake.
Right, 33, 3 pounds overweight. Yeah, and then did you see the same thing as our friend Brian here? He said he thought he saw 4 knockdowns, even though they scored at 3. Did you notice the same thing?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure one, he touched his glove, but the ref waved it off, right? I was almost certain. But it wasn't even a good job of faking the fight, right? It was so fucking obvious. The holds, just the fucking Ryan Garcia would literally turn his back. I've never seen a fighter turn his back like that, right? He blamed it. He's like, I have ADHD, so sometimes I fuck up. And even at the post fight press conference, he said, don't believe what you see on the internet all the time. He's like, none of this shit is real. He was literally saying that stuff, like mocking it in the post fight press conference.
Do you mean the stuff that he's been doing online? He was like mocking what he's been doing?
Well, he was like saying like, don't believe what you see, right? Like basically saying like, this is all fucking rigged. It's all fake. This shit was crazy. I mean, I've watched a lot of boxing matches, right? And I've never seen, it was like, they were just like poor actors, basically.
Hold on, I have a question about something you keep saying. You're saying he's turning his back. He was turning his back to the other fighter?
Oh, yeah, Zach, he was doing that.
I've never seen that in a fight either. I mean, you're always staying squared up with him. Our man right here is a boxer. Brian, like, is that ever a tactic? I've never seen that.
Yes, no, he's you never turn your back into anybody in a fight. You actually get a point deduction if you do that too many times. But what was it? Is it rigging pots?
Yeah.
My bad. I'm on my phone. It's the font's pretty small, but yeah, I've seen. So his last fight with Tank Davis, which that fight was definitely obvious, which I could definitely say was scripted because it was obvious when he got dropped in the 6th round, if I'm not mistaken. He took a shot to the liver, but he could have got up, and all the old school boxers actually said, man, this dude could have got up, but he just stayed down. He was doing that same thing, and they were trying to say, oh, it's the Floyd Mayweather Philly shell, the Floyd Mayweather style. No, it's not. He just can't box. It's really, he can't. I'm just being honest. He can't box. He just has speed, and he has a strong. He can punch, but no, that's something that he's done before. And I forgot to say this about Devin Haney because I think it's true because this is something that's going on. I want to say this down in Mexico. This is where because he was doing his fights on YouTube and whatnot. But what someone told me, and this is something that's I think is known, is that I guess he lost the fight down there, but they paid somebody off to get that loss erased off his record.
Huh. Interesting. So it really might not have been his first ever loss.
No, but this fight, it was such a joke, honestly. Like, he would knock him down, right? And then he wouldn't throw punches, right? He would like let him escape for the round to end. This happened on multiple occasions, right? I mean, it was like he would, like you said, he'd keep turning his back. He wouldn't throw punches. Like, they were waiting for a decision, right, for the fight to end so they could get the decision, right? Why would they do that? Because the odds, if you looked at the odds, it was insane odds for the fight for Garcia to get the decision and not the knockout. Like I said, I just put $5 and I won 75 on that.
Boom.
$5 right?
Boom.
So I appreciate your work, Zach. Like I said, I wasn't even going to bet on it because I couldn't really find anything. Because, with Gematria, you need to be really specific, right? You need to bet small to win big. And you need to be choose your bets very carefully. And as soon as I saw that you put the Washington, D.C., Society of Jesus, Adolf Hitler, and I put in Ryan the Flash, I was like, oh, this shit is definitely going down tonight.
Sure. On Patreon, we talked about a couple of days how it looked real with the narrative through 420 and 88 and the cannabis thing. But yeah, the Islam thing adds a lot to it. And like you said, that's what I mean. You compile the evidence. And that's what we try to do on Patreon is get everyone's like crucial observations and be like, okay, this game's making more and more sense right here. So.
Yeah, I don't know much about other sports. I don't even call them sports anymore. I call them theater. But I've been watching boxing a long fucking time, right? And like I said, it was just painfully obvious. And it made me just scratch my fucking head when I was watching like commentators like before the fight saying, you know, Ryan Garcia shouldn't even be fighting. He has mental health problems. The New York State Athletic Commission had like a special like medical hearing for him before the fucking fight to like clear him. Teddy Atlas, a notable boxing trainer and commentator, he trained Tyson along with Customato. He was saying Ryan Garcia shouldn't even be here. He's basically lost his fucking mind. This is too dangerous. He's like, boxing isn't a sport. You know, this is for your life. You know, Stephen A. Smith was doing the same shit, saying they shouldn't even be here. And then after the fight, people were saying, "Oh, this fight was spectacular. This was an instant classic, one of the best fights. They should do a rematch." And I'm thinking, it was so fucking obvious the fight was real. Who turns their back like that?
Or not real.
Yeah, I was just like, how can people just be so fucking gullible? I mean, you literally have to watch the fight, Zach.
Well, I mean, we're deep in the game. I mean, people watch Tom Brady get away with his murder on the football field, which is impossibly stupid scripts for 20-some years and didn't even blink an eye. They think he's the greatest of all time. It's just like the populace is gone. So
yeah, I call Tom Brady the guy that fucking always gets another chance, right? Because when the time he fumbles the football or throws a pick or does some crazy shit like that, there's always a holding call. There's always some sort of technicality that gets him off the hook.
Indeed.
That's all I have. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you for your work.
Yeah, thanks. Congrats on the win. You have a good day.
You
too. Somebody's critical in the chat. He's like, he only won 75. That's not that much. But hey, you learn to use this knowledge. You can do that. Times 15 your money. You bet 5 to win 75. You hardly risked anything. $75. Nice little win. But you can get some decent groceries for $75 these days, even still.
Yeah, man, I ain't gonna lie. I guess if I would have picked Ryan Garcia, I'd have won 15,000 last night. Cause that was I had a big parlay and I scored every parlay using some of your work, and some other obscure fights, and then I was waiting for the Haney fight to end, but it didn't end like I thought it was gonna end. But if I would have looked at your work, I would have picked Ryan.
That's all right, man. But yeah, I mean, there's no doubt the game's rigged. I mean, maybe not every last fight in the world of fighting is rigged. There's some legitimate fights out there, but I think a lot of the big headliners, a fight like this that's got hype behind it, especially with this months of him getting all this attention because of his postings online. It's just like what they just did with the NBA play-in. They market. All they're covering about the NBA is how Jimmy Butler's out and Zion's out, and then what happens in the play-in game. Both their teams win and they advance. Everyone's like, oh, their star players are out. They're done. Then they both win. It's just all manipulation. My manipulation.
Yeah, and like you said, I don't think every single thing is rigged. I won't say every single fight is rigged, even though they've been rigging, sports and boxing in particular. People taking dives and whatnot, and people taking just going down. It's a running joke. Everybody knows about that. But the way you're saying, I think definitely when you deal with the big names, the big headline fights, definitely. I won't say every single title fight because there's 4 belts in 17, 18 weight classes now. They got 4 belts. So I don't think if you're a champion of one of these sanctioning bodies that you necessarily are part of a specific script. But when you get to the I won't say the big money fights. In the big headline fights, I definitely, like the Deontay Wilders and Tyson Furies, all that shit's rigged for sure.
Oh, indeed. Yeah. We've taken advantage of a lot of Fury and Wilder fights. Indeed.
I have 2 more things before I go. And I got, first and foremost, before I bring these 2 things out, I have a question. What do you think about the Detroit Pistons winning those titles back in 2004? Do you think that the NBA wanted them to win that, or did they allow them to, or? You think that was scripted as well?
I got to go back. I've never really researched when Rasheed went from the Blazers to Detroit and won the championship. I'm sure that again, every year I've ever looked into's got a rig and a storyline. I've investigated that one. I'm sure there was a reason that to go back and see what season Detroit was in 2004.
Okay, yeah, because it seemed like they tried. I think they tried to get rid of the Pacers and the Detroit Pistons and certain of those teams out of the league, which they were successful to a certain degree. You know, but regardless, though, I got two things. So the WBC title, I believe Devin Haney had that he won in his previous fight. So the WBC, which is the World Boxing Council, so the ordinal in that is 28, reduction is 10, the reverse is 53, and reverse reduction is 17.
Okay.
Now, so I mean, I guess okay. Here's what I would say about Haney and what I believe about Haney and his father. I do believe that they're Masons. So, and of course, the number 17, I think, is it Freemason or is it Mason or Masonry that equals 15 or 17? Excuse me.
Mason is 17 and Masonry is 33. Like their address in DC, their building's 1733.
Okay, and then I think it was welterweight. Well, is it junior welterweight? Let's see. Was there any numbers dealing with 78
For what?
for this fight?
I don't know. Maybe there was. If we were looking for the again. I just know every year they do this theme with 88's always a big number on 420. And when I saw that Garcia had the 8/8 birthday, I started to look for a reason that it made sense. I was like, okay, this cannabis thing's here. So I didn't go past it there. I just said that's enough of a narrative for him to get this upset.
Okay. No doubt. I was just looking things up just real quick because I didn't look into it that much myself until I saw your video. So I was just looking through the calculator just for a quick second. But no, it's definitely interesting. But yeah, that's all I have.
Somebody points out that the finals where the Detroit beat the Lakers, that was the 58th, and Los Angeles Lakers does equal 58, like Kobe Bryant. I'll have to go back and see where Detroit was in their history and why that was a season for them. I'm sure there's something to that. So
okay,
I'll look more into it.
No problem. But yeah, no, I appreciate it, Zach, man. I just had to talk about that Ryan Garcia fight since I saw it.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right. Yeah, take care. All right, we'll take one more and then we'll wrap this thing up. Chimera.
Yo, what's up? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
I've been making a decode about the NRL. You know what the NRL is?
Say it again.
Do you know what the NRL is?
The NRL.
Yeah, National Rugby League in Australia.
Oh, yeah. We were just talking about last week how that stabbing at the mall seems synced up with the team there.
Yeah, crazy, eh? But yeah, I got a decode for Roosters.
Yeah.
Hopefully winning the grand final. But yeah, they've been in this grand final is on October 6th this year, right?
Right.
And the last 3 times that happened, well, the only 3 times it's happened in the NRL, they've won each one. Sorry, man, it's like fucking 6 a.m. here, so my throat is a little bit sore.
That's okay.
But yeah, it's only happened like 3 times in the whole of NRL, and Roosters have won each time.
Yes. So the day of that mall, somebody who's there in Australia sent me an email. Maybe it was you. And I took some of the information, I put it in a post and presented it because
No, it wasn't me.
Big numbers with the Jesuits are 177 and 201, and that Bondi Junction equals 201, and the stabbing was 177 days before the championship on October 6th. There were a lot of things here that were interesting. So, yeah, that person gave me an email about how the Sydney Roosters and this date in history and now this stabbing, because it was week 6 of the NRL season that they said 6 were killed. and the championship's on the 6th of October. So yeah, there's a lot here that's interesting.
Okay, yeah, sweet. You pretty much know then.
All right. Well, hey, I'm glad you called in and confirmed it because I only had those observations because somebody sent me an email. I don't know anything about the NRL, but then I just
Yeah.
confirmed it and looked beyond what they said and added a few more things, and now you're calling in about it too. So yeah, that's definitely an idea. History does repeat itself a lot in sports.
Yeah, man, no worries. Cheers.
All right. Thanks for staying up for us. Take care.
All good.
Yeah, if you don't get enough sleep, your voice starts to sound like you got a sore throat. That's like something the body does if you don't got enough rest. You've been going too hard. All right. Well, I think we can leave it there. This has been a nice, long, healthy stream. Oscar Garcia, I saw what you said about your friend. I'm sorry about the loss of your friend. Thank you again for your generosity. Real Talk said 1997, K. Griggs tells all the Jays train with Navy SEALs to perform wet ops murders in this country. We only see the footage when a wacko uses GoPros. Nothing would surprise me. Not at all. So, could make a lot of sense. Shout out to Carl, always with the generosity. Glad you're doing well, Carl. And again, RIP to Oscar's friend. Sorry that happened. Indeed. Shout out to Australia. So, till next time, Truth Seekers is right. And here, hold on. Before I sign off, let me just make sure there's no... Did you guys know that today's the anniversary of Rome? What Rome celebrates today is its birthday in history. Rome, the Empire of Rome, April 21st. Harris is feeding on the old prosecutorial rush of tearing apart the opposition's argument. Dubai hasn't witnessed a natural disaster of such magnitude since records began. We talked about the crazy flooding in Dubai, the worst in 75 years since records began. Is it still flooding there this week? Okay, they're just bringing back up what happened. Yeah, if you missed my work on Dubai's flooding, yeah, definitely go back and watch that video. It's a lot to re-summarize, but it's information people should know. Familiar patterns. And look at Daria. Daria. Oh, man. Daria, the top contributor in the stream in terms of intellectually, presentationally, if that's a word, and then even financially. Daria, you didn't have to do that. I appreciate that. But thank you, Daria, for coming on with the brilliant presentation. And then thank you times 2 for the big generosity. And again, thank you to everyone who likes and shares the work. Thank you to everyone who supports the Patreon. The Patreon can be quite lucrative. Here, I want to say something too, because I know a lot of people really don't like that we focus on sports and take advantage of the sports from the rigged, gambling aspect. Again, I can understand why people do not like gambling. Gambling has ruined many people's lives. What I do on my Patreon is teach you how to be smart, how to save money, and how to try and have fun with this knowledge and spend $5 a day and turn it into 50, 75, $100, which you can do at a fairly consistent rate with this knowledge. Parlays, small bets for big payouts. And there's people who have turned $5 bills into thousands of dollars with this knowledge with some really keen parlays. I mean, you have a 10-teamer, you can turn 5 into $2,000. 8-teamers can do that if some of them are big dogs. But anyway, really what the Patreon is about is just using the knowledge in all ways, and using it to decode sports is a good way to practice with the knowledge. So is decoding what's going on in the world, the rigged news, the rigged elections. But to see the grand scope of this and how they are bringing these events together, day in and day out, you don't even have to gamble on it. You can just see how the knowledge reveals the rig. But I was going to say, if you do gamble, the question is it really an evil thing to gamble? Is that really evil to gamble? I mean, you could say in a way that like participating in this world on any level is evil. If you realize the whole money system's corrupt and ran by evil people who get rich off it and control the masses with it. I mean, if you realize that and you're participating in evil, right? But then the other side of the argument is like, well, listen, I was born into this system. I didn't choose it. I'm just trying to do my best and stay afloat and live by the golden rule. And okay, yeah, maybe the money system is evil, but I still got to pay the bills. It's the only way. Well, it's not the only way, right? Some people choose to be homeless because they resent the system so much. So in a way, it's like that's actually the point I'm trying to make. Like, there's people who see the system's evil and they don't want anything to do with it. They literally choose to be homeless. You go survey all the people on the streets of America. Some of them are like that. They saw how messed up the world was. They didn't want anything to do with it. They ended up on the streets. The point I'm making is, like, to me, everything is about intent. If you're trying to get ahead in this world, you can take advantage of rigged sports. Is that evil? I don't know why that has to be evil. You see the system's rigged. It's messed up. You're trying to get ahead. I don't know. So again, just because it's written in some verse in the Bible, that doesn't necessarily mean it's evil, does it? The Bible tolerates all kinds of stuff that seems to be evil. The Bible in some sections seems to encourage behavior that you could say is evil. So I don't think the Bible is the ultimate authority on what's evil and not. I think the truest thing in the Bible is the golden rule, and it's in all spiritualities. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. You can start, again, most things aren't black and white. To me, that one is. You should treat other people the way you want to be treated. But is this thing like gambling evil? I don't think that has to be an evil thing. It can definitely become an unhealthy thing, a terrible thing for you. It does for a lot of people. We combat that in our community. If you play smart and you play by the rules, again, there's a lot of people been here for a lot of years, consistently winning, not making big wagers, having fun with it, adding a little extra grocery money as things become more expensive. I don't see that as being inherently evil. So I think the rules of what things that are evil, I think it's just almost that one thing. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. And then maybe like 5 rules. What happens if you're not being treated right by somebody else? Then what does that entitle you to? You know. But yeah, I don't think gambling is necessarily an evil thing. It can be definitely bad. That is true, though. It can be bad and unhealthy. So shout out again to Daria, and thank you as well, Mr. Boston. I appreciate the generosity. Yeah, kill it. Yeah, absolutely. Killing people by a numerical code. I mean, all the stuff that we're exposing, and what we're doing each day is definitely exposing evil. Again, lying to people, scaring them, doing it by a code, using knowledge that most of them don't know about. The way we're mocked, hey, by the way, I had to do the calculation. 95 billion, the new bill for Israel and Ukraine, 95 billion, our new bill, divided by about 200 million taxpayers. That's $475 per person, right? But with the interest and the way the interest works out, you might as well just double it. So it ends up probably being about $950 per person by the time everything's said and done. Just like right now, if you got a mortgage for a house, 30-year mortgage with 7% interest, you're going to end up paying, again, like $600,000 over the 30 years. If the house is $300,000 plus the interest, you're going to end up paying like $600,000. If you're paying mortgage interest penalty because you couldn't put 20% down, you're going to end up paying more than double the cost of the house. And it's just like that with our loans too. So essentially, every American adult just got another $1,000 tab from Big Brother, and that's on top of all the other tabs we all owe for. You know, I mean, think about what an injustice that is. Like, literally, you just got an extra $1,000 expense yesterday for Israel and Ukraine, and that's a lot of people that have to pay that amount. And then that's on top of the other bill that we just got in March for the what was that, $8 billion to rebuild the bridge, update the port. We know that was another ritual. You know, that's another expense. It's like another $100 and some per person. But again, you just watch how they're constantly just building up all these bills for us, and we have to keep paying all this money in taxes that get worse and worse as time goes on. What we're exposing is the evil thing. If you don't want to, take advantage of the knowledge and try to get, like, here, if there's people out there that leave comments like, Zach, gambling is evil, but then I look and it's like, oh, well, look, you take a check from this major company, right, in the world, this major corporation that's also behind a lot of evil, so is working for them and taking a check. Is that evil too? I mean, is that better for the world than saying taking advantage of the rigged casino game? I don't know. I think I can make the argument that working for the evil corporation's even more evil. So yeah, again, I mean, honestly, people need to stop fighting over everything. I have people that just like try to attack me because we also teach how to take advantage of the sports games. It's like, okay, so you don't like that about me. I can accept that, but don't you see that I'm here every day spending the majority of my time exposing like the evil rituals, what the government just did, what the news is lying about now, what they're trying to scare us into now, giving out accurate information about the future, as I've proven time and time again. Life-saving knowledge in the time of the pandemic. We saw everything about COVID before it even unfolded. We saw when the lockdowns would start. We knew when it would end as soon as it began. We had it all out. And again, for people who don't know that that's true, read my book that came out in the middle of 2020, labeled right in the book, written in the pages of a piece of book, or the pages of a book that you can buy that's got a publishing date from the middle of 2020, why they were going to end the pandemic when the year of the tiger came around. Exactly what they did. We've been studying the game, taking advantage of the game, not being scared by the game, not being manipulated by the game. And to me, overall, the intent is far from evil. It's about combating evil. It's about taking advantage of the messed up system we're in. But yeah, people need to find their more commonality instead of like, oh, I like the 9 things he did, but that gambling thing, I don't like him for that. So I'm just going to go after him for that. It's like, that's what's wrong with the world. Align on the 9 things that you do like. Call into my open phone lines all the time and make an argument for why we should stop taking advantage of the sports. Let's see if there is a consensus for why we should stop participating. You know, the comment on the screen from Jared Bailey. Shout out to Jared Bailey, who came out and pounded pavement with us in Buffalo. Him and I got to go on the tour of Buffalo, given to us by 2 gentlemen who live there. It was Jared Bailey and I in our friend's vehicle. They told us that they showed us the messed up statue of Martin Luther King Jr. in Buffalo. They're like, that's supposed to be him. It's such a bad statue. It's like, come on, man, it's disrespectful. But yeah, again, I mean, sadly, sometimes we're taking advantage of the rigged sports narrative because we see what the ritualistic death has to do with it. In a way, it's like, yeah, rather than having to win at the game to pay the bills, I wish we were waking up humanity and nobody would show up for the stadium anymore. Again, if I could only have 1 of 2 things, if I could only have it so that I can continue to win from taking advantage of rigged sports, that's one thing I can have for the rest of my life. I can have that. Or I can have my mission be accomplished of people recognizing this knowledge, applying it, seeing what we see, and these sports stadiums to go empty. And there just isn't any more of it. Everyone's not fooled by it. They see why it's evil, corrupt. They're not going to buy another ticket for their team that's sacrificing their former players for this year's success. If I could have that is accomplished, and I'm like, look at that. We shut down these corrupt-ass leagues. Now, look, nobody's even going to the rigged election. I'd much rather have that. But again, we don't have that yet. And how do we get to that point? Well, we're going to, like I always say, we're going to need way more resources to get this stuff way more on the map in front of the common folk. You know, if we could afford to put out a team at every sports stadium to let them know about the latest rigged rituals, what they can expect for the rigged outcome of the game that day. Again, I mean, we'd have that team of people achieving that. That should be happening. So I always love when the trolls come on and say we went 5-9 yesterday. The favorite troll joke to just spam that everywhere, that we went 5-9 yesterday. No, we did not, troll. We went 4-0 in the NBA, had some nice upsets, saw the Ryan Garcia upset, like the Mets to surprise the Dodgers in the 88-420 ritual. Okay. Yeah. All right. We will leave it there, but I wanted to make that one last argument. And again, thank you to everyone who does support the work, hits the like, hits the share, gets the knowledge out there. It's the only way the world's going to change is if more people get serious about, you know, waking up their friends and family, being persistent enough and persuasive enough to accomplish the mission. Hold on. This comment says, YouTube is now banning us in Scotland for hate speech comments. Explaining treason to someone gets you a ban now. Isn't it crazy? And Twitter's way worse since Elon took over that little puppet. Certain things you cannot use the phrase the synagogue of Satan on Twitter anymore. Now X. So yeah, and just like my channel, it's like you leave a comment, it's likely to just disappear. Like, you know what's so frustrating, guys? Sometimes I'll get up in the morning and I'll check the comments overnight. Sometimes I find a really good comment for something to research, look into, an additional observation. some mornings I'll get up and I'll like people's comments and I'll do responses back. And then in the moment, it's looking like my response is sticking and staying, and I put a heart on their comment. And then I'll check back later in the day to see if anybody responded or added something new. And you know what I'll see? I'll see that my heart's not there, and neither is my response on my own videos to people who commented. And it just gets frustrating. It's like, God, I spent 25 minutes this morning reading and responding, and now it's just all gone. I can't even leave a comment on my own channel. It's just sick that Google's, and again, that's what drives me nuts too, that people are not seeing that are, there's a reason that they're disrupting communication, taking down information, censoring. There's so much sabotage from these big tech companies of there becoming any kind of organization or cooperation. It's just, it is really irritating how bad these platforms are. And that is why I created the website freetofindtruth.com. If you guys haven't checked out freetofindtruth.com, it's free to use. And again, it's a place where you can interact with people, share content, leave a comment. You don't have to worry about it not showing up. So check out freetofindtruth.com if you are looking for fellow truth seekers and a place to share information without fear of it just disappearing or being deleted or censored. Open Up says, your channels are targeted 100%. I don't have the same issues on other channels when commenting. Yeah, it's just a lot of people have the experience of leaving a comment here and it's just gone. And then that makes people mad at me. People think I'm getting rid of the comment. I'm not getting rid of the comment. I can't even get my own comment to stay on my page. But yeah, it is. It's just, it's so disrespectful too. It's so, I mean, you just feel just like, you're like, my God, man, again, I spent this time this morning responding, trying to strike up a conversation. Look, there's nothing there now. It just all vanished. So. The trolls, man, they're just so dedicated. Just make a new account, start spamming the same false information. Hey, trolls, I don't know how much you guys get paid, but man, maybe just try signing up for the Patreon. You might make a lot more than whatever you get paid to troll, you know? Yeah, I got to get back on the podcast thing too. I just been frustrated with the podcast thing because I've been trying to troubleshoot and keep up the one name that we started, but it seems like it won't syndicate under that name. And I've also just been disappointed by how bad the podcast views are to start. I got to be more persistent and stick with it. But based on how few views it's gotten, like the podcast with the 4 episodes that are up that have been up for over a month now, they don't even have 400 views. So I'm like, well, that's not going to change anything. 4 views, 400 views, 100 views per show average. Oh, no. But yeah, I do need to get persistent and get back to it because if we stick with it, it will get better. And you just never know. Maybe one day they'll take down the entire YouTube channel, and then you'll be glad you had the podcast where some of the most important things were archived. So at least they're still somewhere up. Okay. Yeah, we'll leave it there. Have a great rest of the day, you guys. Again, thank you to everyone who supports the work. And we'll see what maybe later today comes or tomorrow. So no doubt by tomorrow, we'll be back covering it then. Till next time.